Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the GCP, the show where this week we're trying some unique.
And that's not the Gotham City Police, by the way.
No. Yes, and I said that
unlike
specifically.
Batman, we are not cops.
And I said that specifically for a specific reason, and we will get to that soon. And of course, before we even get to any of that, let me introduce my man, the man who is out here making himself seen, making himself known. Life happens sometimes, and we have to, accommodate that. The man who will be on the Game On Daily live cast this afternoon, if I'm not mistaken, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mr. Everborn Saga, good morning, sir. How are you?
Yes, I'm fully ready to damage control for Halo in front of Gas.
Bring your popcorn.
Halo slander.
They found that useful from me last time. Bring your popcorn. It's good. It's good. So what's going on, man? What's new with you?
Nothing much, man. I just got a second mortgage to pay for all of these Apple products that we just pre-ordered.
It is so serendipitous that you bring up the conversation of the Apple products, because, dear listener and / viewer, I have some ideas I want to throw your way. This is going to be an interesting version of the old GCP, because I call it the GCP specifically because myself and Mr. Everborn Saga, before we get into the show proper, and we see you out there in the chat. Thank you guys so much for pulling up an hour late. We know life happens, but we appreciate you being here. We see you there, Talos. We
life
see you,
happens
Fuzzy.
To me.
Well, it happens to us all. It's all good, right? We see you here, Gerald, Matt, good sir. A bunch of folks already in here. Thank you so much for joining us. I specifically call it the GCP because myself and Everborn Saga have been having conversations in the background for a little while now. We as some of you folks know, we've done multiple shows, sometimes with Mr. Boomstick, and shout out to him, and on the Boomstick channel, and sometimes on Everborn's channel himself, when we used to do On the Real, right? And it went away, and unfortunately we were having a hard time bringing it back. But we've been talking about it, and it seems that he and I, this weekly show is what we do, and we're building this awesome community, which we appreciate so much. This is our weekly chance to kind of talk about the fun geek stuff that we don't get a chance to really speak on usually, and this is the time he and I just get to catch up and whatnot. So we were thinking, if it's difficult for us to carve out more time to make On the Real and a few other things happen, then maybe we might add them to this show as segments. Now, this is going to be a little trial run. This will be a bit of an experiment, and ultimately when this all works out, if you folks appreciate it, ultimately, we'll have segments. We'll make sure we segment them off, and ultimately, if folks want to come just for the gaming talk, maybe you'll have a section for that in a playlist, and those who want to see other things will have that as well. But just for today, I thought we'd try a little round of that. We started a little late, that's true, and we appreciate all you folks who are pulling up right now. But we'll kind of experiment and play a little bit with what I am talking about. So
let me add something to it real quick.
Please, yes, sir.
So the idea would be to have segments, whether they be an On the Real segment, obviously the gaming segment, which is why we're all here today, and potentially like a tech segment, and then we can break those off into separate videos for people to consume during the week. But Saturday, you still get your full show, nothing degrading.
Exactly,
it's just more. And the people that are into the movie stuff or the tech stuff, they can come and see it live. We'll do it live on Saturdays, but then during the week we'll just break it up as separate videos, and for the Johnny Come Latelys.
Exactly. So we're hoping that you guys will come on the ride with us, and ultimately that may mean a bigger show for everybody. When we figure it all out, it may be a longer show, but I'm trying to find a concise way of keeping the blocks together, and it won't be every week too. So it's not like every week you'll get a movie show, TV or whatever. Some weeks maybe the mode won't strike. Maybe there's nothing to talk about. That's not like this week, though. Oh boy! So we're gonna get into.
Did you finally watch Rings of Power?
Oh, I've watched all of Rings of Power. I'm caught up on She-Hulk.
I haven't seen yesterday's episode yet.
I'm caught up on She-Hulk. Even the gaming, even the movie and TV news small bits of it I really want to talk to you about. So,
Morbius is #1 on Netflix.
oh my God. See,
Morbid time.
this is the stuff we need to talk about anyway. But let us start, as we always do on this show, with the games that we have been playing. And I will start, as I traditionally do, with you, good sir. Anything new on your playlist? Anything you've been playing?
No, but good progress on old things. I am
Okay.
on the Technodrome Redux
Nice.
in
Okay.
Shredder's Revenge. I
This
think that's the
man
last
still has
level.
not finished the game once. I finished it like 9 times at this point.
Okay, so hold on a minute. So I have because there's multiple bosses in that level because it's like the last level. It's like the last level in Turtles in Time where you have to fight all those bosses, and I'm doing it by myself. Because I refuse to
all by yourself.
I refuse to beg for help on my first playthrough. So I always said I'll beat the game and then I'll play with other people. But I have not been able to get past the Technodrome Redux, and I've even in a moment of desperation, I chose Leo instead of the mainstay.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was like completely just like. I was like completely taken aback by this comment by Beast Mode 10 here.
Listen, man, you release Morbius again, maybe it can hit those No Way Home numbers.
Petition to release Morbius in theaters again. Stop it, sir. Stop it. Welcome, sir. But I think you have a problem. You need to.
By the way, have you noticed though, like this whole like they re-released Spider-Man. Yep. They re-released Morbius like 6 times. That's kind of the same effect that Sony does with selling you the same thing over and over again.
You just going
at
for the
full
violence
price
this morning, aren't you? You're just here for that violence this morning. Okay.
But
reel it back in. Go ahead. Yeah, yes, what you were saying.
Yeah. So I'm stuck on that level. But I'm also playing Islets, which is a fantastic game.
Yes.
If you want, if you need a fix of Metroidvania in your veins with beautiful like particle effects and everything's all floaty and nice, it's really cool. It's by like almost a single developer. I think they're like brothers that made it. I'm not sure, but like check it out. PC Gamer gave it rave reviews. It's on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. I'm playing it on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, I think it's on Switch as well. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's everywhere
at this point.
So check it out. I'm playing it on the Steam Deck. It's not Steam optimized, so I don't know what it's doing to battery life, but I never really look at the battery life on the Steam because I'm not playing it like I'm always playing it in the house, so there's always a charger nearby. But highly recommend it. If you need your fix before Silk Song comes out, like that is the way to go. I love the progression system. I love the upgrading of stats that you can get. It almost feels like an RPG.
Based on your recommendations, I bought it I think a couple weeks ago. I haven't really put some time into it though, but I should start. Every time you speak on that, I go, oh yeah, I have that. I should play that. I should definitely play that. Okay.
Yeah, so that I'm on that. And like I said, highly recommend it. It reminds me of the Ariel's Adventure game in some ways, but like they've just taken everything to the next level. So I even love it because I have a lot to learn from it.
You tip your cap to a fellow single development journeyman developer who's seemingly threading the needle that you want to thread. I suspect.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Check it out. Like if you completely different kind of game, but this is in the vein of like Tunic. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
If you felt that way about
high praise, bro. That is
how
high
Tunic
praise.
was to Zelda, this is to Metroidvania. That's the thing. And I just want to say one other thing, because this is not really on the topic, but I really gotta say, like, I don't know if this is just a function of no major first party games for Xbox this year, but I feel like the people that are doing the most interesting things right now in gaming is the indie devs. They have these
that has been a known, like, a dirty little secret for a while now.
I'm ultimately saying, like, the indie games are the ones I'm actually looking forward to the most. Like, they're just
I've been this way. The way you are now, I've been this way for about 5-6 years. I appreciate the AAAs. The AAAs are great, but you don't like the Hollow Knights get you out of nowhere, right? The Death's Doors come out of nowhere and just like smack you while you're
Celeste.
waiting for the triple A's. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I've always valued the indie space far more because
And
you don't know when your next amazing thing comes from. I appreciate them
but
so far.
also a thing to think about with the indie, and again, it's great that we're in this place where an indie dev really doesn't, there's no real barriers to kind of release your stuff, not really anymore.
Yeah.
But you know, if you compare this to film, right? Like, you know, the big blockbuster tentpole $200 million movies, yeah, they make all the money, but in terms of what people look at in terms of art and awards and all those things, it's always those smaller things that with the creators that were budget constrained, that had small teams that did those things. So I think we're getting to that place in terms of games being art, to where the innovation and creativity, yes, it's there in the big games, but these smaller, more intimate projects is just kind of where it's at. Because you wouldn't look at a film fan that told you they're a film buff, but they only watch Lord of the Rings or the MCU, right? You would say, "Get the hell out of my face!"
You look at them and say, "You're denying yourself, sir. What are you doing?"
Right? It was
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
you haven't seen Chinatown, you
That's
know,
right.
like, and you're telling me you're so it's that kind of thing. I think that we're going through, and it's good. Like, again, the big budget stuff will still push the envelope. It'll still, you know, do what it does. It's still great. But like, let's
respect these indies out here.
yeah.
Right? Yes, absolutely. Speaking of AAA and things of that nature, let us transition to what I have been playing, which you're seeing on your screen right now, which also transitions us into also some gaming talk, because I think there's more to be talked about Cyberpunk this week, because there's been Cyberpunk updates. So have you tried by any chance, good sir? And actually, you know what? Before I even get there, let me pause for a moment and once again thank all the folks that are already joining us in the chat. Our numbers are climbing. We jumped in here a little late today, and we're trying something different, but folks are already jumping in and folks are already joining us, so we appreciate it. I see you there, Pixel. I see you there, Beast Mode. Tom from Toonami, welcome, good sir. Erodimus, a lot of folks are already joining us. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We appreciate you. So let's, if you haven't hit that like button, please consider doing so. If you're new to the channel and you want to please hit that subscribe, as we're moving along to our 1,000 subscribers. We're heading there. We're close. We're breaking 700 very soon. Please help us get there. But let's get back to this conversation. Now, I got back into Cyberpunk this week, which technically, dirty little secret, I haven't really gotten out of Cyberpunk. I've kind of been in and out of Cyberpunk for quite some time. And
you haven't finished
this
it?
week, I finished it on PC. Okay. I finished it on PC,
Same.
but I've been rolling it on multiple platforms. And they've now.
Did you get?
I ain't telling you that. We can have a spoiler conversation about Cyberpunk.
Let's just say I ended up on a space skydive.
I don't think Cyberpunk deserves to have that actual conversation just yet, because the statute of limitations on its story has not passed yet. Most people haven't really given this game a chance.
Absolutely not. The game came out in 2020,
but people haven't played it. People haven't played it. And I think this is a game that really deserves to be
14 to 20 million copies.
And no one played it. It became one of those. That's why the fires were so hot, because people just dropped that thing. I think the completion rate, you'll be stunned.
I think that's not true. And I think it was listen, I'm not saying they didn't mess up on the last gen stuff, but it's very easy to dump on this game. But a lot of people played it and just kept quiet because they didn't want to hear the mob say they were damage controlling. And there were some people like myself that were brave enough to say, this is a great game. I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. But again, I played it on the 3080, so maybe I'm not one to talk.
That's one of those.
And I don't have a yellow chair.
Oh, damn. Stop it.
So you can
All right.
trust me.
All right. So you know what? This is the opportunity that always is wonderful. We can use a poll system. Real quick, Cyberpunk, did you play it? Yes, no, didn't finish it. I want to know if you played it, did you finish it? I really want to know
In the
because
chat, just
in
type
the chat. Oh yeah,
did
it's
you
in there
play
right.
it and did you
Well,
finish
no, I just put a poll up even in the chat right now.
Okay.
Just hit yes or no, or you didn't finish it. I really want to know because I feel like because this game got such a the basically the label that it got, rightly so, right? It became problematic, and nobody really gave it the chance it deserved. And those of us who were lucky enough to be able to play it in the best form possible, experienced the story and really loved it. But most of us did not get that opportunity. Like I know a lot of people who bought this game. I don't think I know more people. I don't think I know anyone who played it for more than 4 or 5 hours max because of the bugs and all of the vitriol and all of that stuff. So let's see how this chat goes with this. But yes. So the conversation about Cyberpunk basically is that it came out patch 1.6, I should say.
I have
came out
83.1 hours on
Ooh, that's a good amount of time.
Cyberpunk
Yeah.
on Steam, but then I have like another 20 hours on Xbox. I don't something like that. I don't remember what I have on Xbox, but there's another several hours on Xbox.
So needless to say, 1.6 is the patch that basically is trying with 1.6 CDPR is basically inviting the community to come back. Hey guys, it's now playable in a state that we're proud of. Come and check it out. And I've checked it out. Oh, wow. Welcome to the man Infinite Umbra. He says he has 459 hours in Cyberpunk.
Talk about it.
That is beasting right there. Ooh, that's amazing. That is amazing. I think I'm on PC alone. I think I'm about 85 hours, something like that. I have different. I think I also have about an hour, about 100 hours or so on Xbox as well. So like I roll different characters in different places, and I know that you can do so many different things depending on male or female or things like that. So I've been trying different. I want to try Capo, and all the others. I wanted to make sure
I did Corpo. That was my first playthrough.
But I guess my question, the reason why I bring this up is I've been enjoying it. It's still great. It is very special, and they've added a lot more to the game. They've kind of re-rolled the RPG systems a little bit, right? And that was with the last update. Since that time, they've now tightened that up a bit more, so it kind of makes a bit more sense now as far as the skill trees and whatnot. Have you tried?
Oh, go ahead. No, I haven't. I'm actually downloading the update as we speak. But I do. My big thing with this is that I want to do a playthrough on Xbox, and I really feel like now that I can bring my progress from PC over, this is the time to do it. And I was waiting for
and you're bearing the lead on that one, by the way. So with 1.6 patch update 1.6, you can now basically take your save that's not necessarily beholden to the platform you're on to the next platform. So if you're playing it on GOG, for instance, you can hit the right trigger and your last save will basically go to the GOG cloud, do the same thing inside the Xbox, and it'll pull it down and you can continue the save from the PC. So basically cross progression, cross save is live. So with that, you can basically pick it up on your Xbox, put it down, pick it up on your PC, put it down, pick it up on your Steam Deck, put it down, same character wherever you go. The dream, as it were.
Yeah, no. This is so this is genuinely what I've been waiting for to jump back in. I really want like another a story update. I heard there's new gigs that you can do, but that's not really like the update that they showed with the Liberty one.
That's where I want to go. That's the conversation I want to go. But continue.
Before we do get back to that, there's a point that I wanted to bring up because I feel like we're seeing this a lot now, right? Like these games that have such high hopes, like Cyberpunk and Battlefield 2042 and the current one, Halo, we're seeing them come out and they're in these, less than stellar states that I'm being generous there. Some
very
your mileage may vary on that.
Good job.
But it seems like it seems like they're sticking with it and fixing these things. And I'm hearing a lot of good things about Battle 2042 now.
Yep.
Cyberpunk
Absolutely.
seems to be
Yep.
righting a lot of the wrongs. And yes, the launch was shitty, sure. And Halo like launched great, but like, you know, people want more content now. But if you look at that Forge video, which I don't know if we're going to talk about, people seem to be excited about that. So I wonder, is this the new normal where these big expansive games, these super complex games, are just going to come out and, you know, take, you know, 2 years to get their act together? Is that just the nature of developing projects like this?
Yep, that seems to be the way forward. They seem to be understanding that, hey, the monetary constraints
And I'm not saying that's a
forbid us
good
from
thing. I'm
delaying.
saying,
It's
is this
not.
what we're going to have to
It's
live
not.
with
It's definitely
going forward?
basically the status quo, the where we find ourselves now. And on that point, and I, for those on the visual side, I'm showing this on the screen here. Cyberpunk, the CDPR team basically not only released that patch update, they then also showed off a trailer to Phantom Liberty, their one and only update, their expansion, they're calling it, which, let's be honest, surprised and disappointed many fans, because if you remember their last outing, if history was where you're moving, where you were thinking about it, then you would have assumed that they'd release multiple updates like they did with Hearts of Stone and all the others that they did with the Witcher
But
3.
how many were as big as Blood and Wine?
Exactly. We don't know how big this will ultimately end up being, and they are now saying that they are committed to Cyberpunk, even though let's be real here, right? This is the last outing for their current engine. So there is cause for concern a little bit, because even in the world where they were moving on to a separate project, when they were using the same engine, you would be like, well, they can cross-pollinate their developers and keep Cyberpunk, fed while they're working on something new. They're literally washing their hands of the Red Engine after this and going full in Unreal Engine 5. So that's why they're now kind of.
Does that worry you a little? So well, first of all, let me say, everyone at CD Projekt Red now is trained on the Red Engine. Them moving to Unreal 5 allows them to bring in more people. So I don't think that means
bring in more off the shelf talent, if you will, that just know Unreal, right? Rather than that proprietary.
But again,
engine.
We talked about this a year ago.
Yep.
Where we said Unreal 5 is great, but
isn't it becoming diminishing returns as far as creativity once we're all on the same engine?
Will everything begin to look the same, where your particle effects are all going to look the same, or your explosions, or just how these engines feel? And I don't want to be in a place where UE5 is the only engine. That said, it could just be a matter of, listen, if you're third party, you need to use UE5. Because that will be optimized for the other systems for you, and first party are the ones who need to develop their own custom engines, like id Tech or the Decima engine or whatever Sony Santa Monica uses. Maybe that's just the way to go, because those engines can take specific advantage of the hardware that they know they're running on.
Exactly, absolutely. Oh, and real quick, shout out to 2 members of our chat that came here this morning for violence. First off, we have Gabe going, is PlayStation back online?
I have no way of knowing, because my PlayStation is collecting
and then of course
dust.
We have Lucius Augustus saying, what? Huh? PlayStation was down? Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. Yes, PlayStation was down yesterday. And yes, to my understanding, PlayStation is back up now. But I love that they came here going, what? Let's come here with some violence. Appreciate that. Welcome, gentlemen. Anyways, so yes. So they are now, CDPR now is committing to everybody. Hey, although we are now working on The Witcher 4, presumably, on the Unreal Engine, right? We are still committed to this only one expansion we're going to be doing. Even after the expansion we do, they're going to be adding a lot more to it, not just the expansion. So does this excite you, sir? Will you be going back to Night City?
1000%. The reason I haven't come back to Halo,
Gaming. Welcome, sir.
The reason I haven't come back to Halo is because there's no new campaign stuff.
True.
This is new campaign stuff, so it will absolutely bring me back. And I've been saying this. I love the game, and I the only reason I put it down is because I finished it, and I want something new to do in the world. And here we go. I'm not in the business of just hanging out in an open world just because I have shit to do.
Well, I mean, I will say, to Cyberpunk's credit, and I have many hours just kind of hanging out in this world. Like, to its credit, they do have a lot of side hustles you can kind of get yourself into and just kind of have fun for a while. But it becomes aimless.
I only do a side quest if it's going to get me something that is super valuable.
Well, yeah, but that's my point. In CDPR's games,
when I play games,
in CDPR's games, like for instance, when I've taken side quests, that's what's gotten me my gorilla arms and all the stuff that I can then apply to the main thing. Instead of buying it, right? You can buy it for top dollar if you're trying to grind and get the money. But if you do the right side quests, you have chests that you find, or valuable things that you get into after those side quests. The thing about Cyberpunk that's a misnomer that most people don't know, which maybe you, Everborn, might have missed out on, seeing that you're speaking this way, is the side quests kind of tend to be more important than the main quests do in this game.
No, there were some things like that.
Yeah, some of the side quests, if you missed them in this game, you've missed either great power-ups or great storylines that are even more impressive than the main story.
How many times did you play Cyberpunk and think, how did this clown get my number? And why did it keep calling me about boosting cars and all of this nonsense? I'm like, yo, can I block this number?
But where it ultimately goes, it was cool.
I feel like they were about to start having telemarketers call me in Cyberpunk.
Anyway, all right. So now for those who jumped in a little late, as we said, we use this show to talk about all this fun stuff that we like to get into, and we're gonna stick to gaming, but we're gonna switch it up soon. Let's keep it gaming for now and keep on this, because I want to talk to you about the Disney showcase real quick. I don't know if you saw the Disney showcase.
I did see the Disney showcase.
But yes, and shout out to the man Wario64 and those of his ilk who keep everybody up to date with all the really great live tweets and whatnot. Kept things interesting. What is your off the top thoughts on it?
I wish I was as excited about it as Blessings looked. He seemed very shout out to him for landing that gig. That's the first thing.
Yes, sir. That's a good gig.
I don't want any blessing slander.
No blessing slander. No, like, the man got a good gig. You know, we love seeing our people rise, so we appreciate that. It was good. And before we continue, let me close out the chat. So the poll. So we have a poll of, let me see here. So far, 41 people that voted. 49% of that population did play the game. 34% didn't play it, and 17% didn't finish, which presumably is of the 49% that played it. So that probably speaks more to our hardcore audience than anything else.
It's not of the 49.
Well, there may be those who just didn't finish it. Understood. I yes, absolutely. But let us move forward. All right.
So the showcase, I watched.
What is your top of the dome thoughts?
So I watched a lot of people live stream it, and I really feel like we need to take into account the fact that we are old fuddy-duddies, right? This is a Disney showcase, Disney for your kids. Where do most of your kids play their games?
Yep.
This idea that we thought we were gonna watch a Disney showcase and it was going to be AAA banger after AAA banger for console is ridiculous to me. They showed mobile games because that's where your kids are playing. I'm sorry. No. And you have to get around.
Did you see the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing. And people said that they thought they were going to see Spider-Man and Wolverine. You did. It was just the same half a second clip because everybody ended the show. If you watched when they do the recap at the end, and they do
show you all the little snippets.
Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine are there, just the same clips from the Sony trailers that you got already. So technically, they were there. Maybe that means the insiders were right, or maybe it means Sony saw the show and was like, "No, we're not debuting anything here."
Shout out to Pixelbit G. That new Disney game that's on Game Pass is fire. Absolutely, sir. I'm actually looking forward to introducing that to my daughter. There's this game where you create you're a third party character and you're basically in the Disney world interacting with the Disney characters.
Oh, is that
And it's in Game
the
Pass now.
MMO shooter that we're talking about?
No. It's a Disney, like it's for kids. It's really like at least that's the one I think you're talking about. That one looks very interesting for my kids, and I'm looking forward to bringing them into that. Let's get into some of the stuff we saw here.
Okay, so some of the things
yes, it's called Dreamlight Valley. That's
okay.
what I'm talking about.
So that being said, I think we have to get out of this idea, because I see this in comics and it's been going on for a while.
Yeah,
that even though there's a steady clip of things that are for us, we tend to feel like unless everything isn't 100% geared towards us, that it's trash, and you have to get out of your own way.
Get your head out.
It's not all about you. That being said, in terms of presentation, I didn't like the show.
Okay.
After I said all of that,
I say all of that to say, don't listen to anything I just said.
Right.
I didn't like the show.
But I didn't say but. I said that being said.
Well, is it the presentation you didn't like, or is it the
I didn't like the
content
presentation because the way they showed the games, I don't feel like it gave them enough time to shine. It felt like everything was abbreviated.
It was rushed.
Like, what do you know about this this Tron game? What is it? What does it tell you?
Okay, so let me good point. Good point. It is good you bring it there because I wanted to go here as well. Now, if you happen to have watched this on IGN after the show was over, right? A bunch of the developers came on screen and sat down and actually had and actually had deep, in-depth conversation telling you what they didn't show you, right? So what they showed you was nothing. This was the next question I was going to ask you. Based on what you saw, what is Tron Identity? What's the gameplay like? Do you know?
Well, again, if you're talking about the movie, no. If
This game, what you saw, you saw snippets of it. You didn't see much, right? But of what you saw, what would you think
this ring? So it tells me you're going to be on the biking thing and throwing the ring at people.
Okay, this game is a digital. It's a what they call a digital novel, like a graphic novel. It's a graphic novel game. So no actual, 100%. Because guess what? Because what? IGN had Mike Bithell on the stage talking about it. First, the person who was interviewing him all but said, "Is this a Telltale style game?" But didn't say the Telltale word. He said, "Well, let me ask you. You tell me what it is." And he basically explained that it's a graphic novel game. That's what.
So basically, it's an As Dusk Falls type game, not even Telltale.
It's a graphic novel game with puzzles. Yes.
Oh my God.
So it may be good, and let's be clear here, okay? Let's be clear to the public, whoever's happened to be listening. It's not to clown the fact that it's a graphic novel game. It's the fact that I don't like their marketing of things, because you wouldn't know that if I didn't just tell you that. You know, same thing as Midnight Suns. We're about to get there because Midnight Suns, they finally showed you gameplay. I've been on this show on the back about Midnight Suns, and they finally showed you gameplay, and we'll have a conversation about that in a second.
So,
but let's move forward.
Yeah, there is one game, the game that I'm actually, this one right here.
Yes, this is where I wanted to go.
This is the one I'm excited about. Actually,
this is exciting,
right?
If anybody has Disney Plus, you've watched these Disney.
I have Disney Plus, and I haven't watched any of this.
Oh, bro,
I just heard Disney.
You need to. It's so good.
Metroidvania.
Look. These characters, this art style comes from new shorts that Disney has created for Disney Plus. My kids love it, right? It's 2021, 2022 remade that art style. And some of them are like this. In some of the shorts, they represent each country. So you'll find like the Indian Disney short for Mickey and Minnie, like all these different countries, and they follow the tropes of that place, of that region so well that these shorts are so popular on Disney Plus. So it's awesome that they're using that art style to make this game. It's looking like a really awesome game, right? It's looking like a very awesome, very unique, very, very creative style that I didn't expect from them, right? I actually did expect, more AAA fare. This stuff threw me for a loop, and I was very surprised. I'm looking forward to this. This is very exciting. Like, so what were your thoughts when you first saw this? Did you expect more What did you
This is
think?
my.
What did you think? Yeah.
So here's the thing. A lot of people don't know this about me, right? Like I'm actually not super into the big AAA games. And that's a lie. What I'm saying is
You can be into more than just the
yeah.
AAA games.
So
Yes.
me, if you remind me of the 16-bit era of like 2D side scrollers, top-down action RPGs, Final Fantasy Tactics kind of games, like I'm sold right away. So those are actually my favorite kind of games to play.
Okay.
And I would more gravitate towards this than a random new FPS game.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So for
And of
me,
course,
this is right up my alley.
and even though you are beyond like young kids, if you are a person who has kids, this is a game that can be played around younger kids. So this stuff becomes more priority in my life anyway, because even though I love my FPSs, I can't be shooting things in the face all the time
Listen,
around my children. You know what
but
I'm
this
saying?
is what I'm saying. I would be telling the kids, don't touch my save game. Go play
That's
on your
right.
own.
That's
This is
oh,
dad's game.
bro, this what you're describing right there, that is the reason why the new Game Pass for friends and family is going to be plush in my house. I'm sick and tired of all the hours of Peppa Pig that is played on my account. Okay. I'm just sick and tired of it at this point. So you go and just play that on your account, and my account is not going to have anything to do with it. So there you go. Anyway, so let's move forward. So then Niantic showed up with World of Heroes. Did you see this?
I did. Is this like Pokemon? Oh, it says it right there.
This is
The first
basically
thing I thought was
Pokemon
Pokemon
Go.
Go.
Yes, but Pokemon Go. But again, if you watch the IGN after the show updates,
Why didn't
you
they
will
just
know
do an IGN show if they were going to give you all the info? What was the purpose of this?
they didn't have much to show, but they had a lot to say, and they didn't want to have a lot of talking. So I guess they gave the talking parts to IGN. Basically, the IGN part spills the beans that basically they're taking all of the various powers of Marvel, right, and they're throwing it all in a hat. And when you start the game, you create your own new character, and your own new character you will be picking and choosing from Marvel canon, right? So ultimately, once you have that, you've created your own character. Then the rest of the game is kind of Pokemon Go-esque. You have houses, you can battle others, you can meet at certain locations to have events. Sounds interesting. Not really my kind of game, but it is what it is. Then of course they had the Marvel
You
Snap.
want me to tell you an idea? I probably shouldn't say this, but I'll say it anyway because I don't know when it's going to be in my pipeline of development.
Sure.
I wanted to do sort of a Google Maps overlay game, right? Where it takes the Pokemon Go element, but you kind of mix it with Clash of Clans, right? But you're literally playing as an overlay on top of the Google Maps API.
Yeah, on top of actual, basically what Niantic does now. Yeah.
Right. So now you are effectively gaining ground so that you are not fighting to get Pokemon and superheroes, but you're actually fighting for control of
the actual ground.
And the idea is to take over the whole world.
I think Pokemon Go does that too. Like after you capture your Pokemon and this and that, you know how they have like and by the way, this is an old man get off my lawn rendition because I don't play Pokemon, but to my understanding, once you've gathered your squad of that you'll be able to do battle with, you then have gyms, which like it can be a library in real life, it can be some place of note, a landmark, and there's a person who is the gym leader of that landmark in real life. This is Pokemon Go I'm talking about, and you can literally go to that place, do battle with said person, and then if you beat them, you then become the leader of that landmark. So it's not fully to the extent of you own certain land, but the landmark and its surrounding areas become yours. So that is in following with the current Pokemon, the Pokemon Go gameplay style. But it should be interesting.
And the idea for me was to, as you amass more land, that land makes you money. You put that money into defending it because people are always going to be defending your land, whether you're playing actively or not.
Yeah.
So the idea is you could literally like win the Eiffel Tower, right? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, exactly.
And
Yes,
that kind of
yes.
thing.
Absolutely. So okay, there's still a lot of gaming talk to go, and I kind of want to touch on other things too. So Everborn, we're gonna have some quick hit ideas here. We're gonna have some quick hit thoughts on a few of these that popped up that I kind of want to touch on. And if any folks, and if you or any folks want us to slow down and really have a conversation about it, y'all let us know and we'll do that. But let's just jump into a few of these real quick, okay? So then, of course, we saw mobile MMORPGs Avatar. Do you care? Probably not, right? I didn't.
No, I'll try it out if it's free to play.
Yeah, I'll try it out, but I really didn't care.
We really have to stop pretend like mobile gaming is not.
Oh yeah. Mobile gaming is
I'm
gaming.
telling you,
it's here now. It's here now. Absolutely. I'm
console
not
gaming is going to die off with us.
By the way, just so you know, Everborn, this is the Dreamlight Valley game we're talking about, and it is live on Game Pass as we speak right now. I'm excited to show the kids. It looks really cool.
Okay,
and they're adding new stories to it, like as the year progresses. I suspect it's going to be their big live service pull, almost like games as a service thing for younger kids. But it looks really interesting, like and they're bringing together all different avenues of Disney together.
This didn't grab me.
There you go. So we're looking forward to this one, and it's got story content and all of that. Exactly. It's not meant for you. Now, this one, what did you think of Disney Speedstorm? That was interesting.
I like it.
I saw this and I was like,
"This is on mobile."
Yes. Well, I think it's on everything.
Did they say Gameloft made it? Right.
Yes, Gameloft made it. Yes,
Gameloft is usually a mobile developer.
Yes, they are. So it'll be mobile first, most likely.
Now, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. There are some really good kart racers on mobile. Like when they did Mario Kart on mobile, it was good. But the best kart racer I've played on mobile so far is actually the Angry Birds kart racer.
Really?
Try it out. I'm telling you, it's actually like a competent kart racer game.
Okay, it's just the IP that's been done to death.
Yeah, but that came out years ago when Angry Birds was hot.
Oh, okay.
But trust me.
Yeah, this interested me. I saw this and I was like, see, these are the things we've been wanting Microsoft to pull off for a while now, right? We wanted them to do, hey, you have very interesting IPs, bring them together in this kind of way. Yes, everyone sees it, and the first thought they say is, "Oh, it's a bite of Mario Kart." Who cares?
So
it's
what?
Still fun. People.
It's a genre.
That's right.
Would you? That's like saying, Lies of P is a bite of Bloodborne.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, it is, but so what?
So
it's
what?
A genre now, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
My question is, if Microsoft were to do one of those, do they do it in the cartoon art style, or do they try to go?
Well, but see, that's the thing. What Disney's doing is very much self-serving in Disney, right? Which is what we want. We want Disney to do what Disney does, which is what they're doing here. If Microsoft were to pull that off with their characters, like obviously when you think Disney, you think Mickey and soft and cute and childish and all of that, right? Your childhood and all of that. So you can bring even the most hardcore of characters to Disney that are within the Disney canon to Mickey's level with the art style and how they've done it here. They've threaded that needle pretty well, right? I would think Microsoft would go the other way, right? Clearly, their IP aren't for children, right? That's not their main demographic. So you'd make a game that would have a certain art style that speaks to that, maybe cell shaded, maybe however you choose to express that. But then you tone all the other different disparate characters and IP to fit that specific art style, right? I just wouldn't go soft and floaty with it. I would go a bit more hardcore because you're talking about, your Gears of War and you're
but I still think you could do the Fortnite art style or
sure. It's not to say look at this art style here. Look at this art style here, okay? This is a cartoon art style. I'm sorry.
I don't like it. It's ugly.
Sure. But with this art style, and yes, it's CG and all of that, but with this art style, you can choose this as your art style and bring together X-Men, Avengers, all these different IP that when you think of them, it evokes a different mental idea of what they look like, but they'll all look good looking like that. I'm just saying that depending on who they give their IPs to, someone can come up with a style that evokes the same idea when you look at them. Like you can find an art style that makes Doom Guy and Master Chief look good in the same place. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't necessarily have to be cartoony or whatever, but I leave it to them, and hopefully one day that's something that we see. A thing where they're all together, they all look good on the same page, and you go, "Yep, they belong there," rather than what a weird situation. You know what I'm saying? But okay, moving on. Speaking a bit to and it looks like Blessing's been working out. He looked good on that stage. I did appreciate him being there, so it was good. Although I agree with you, Everborn, that it seemed a little bit too rapid fire for my liking, right? So you didn't get a chance to really sit with any one game and enjoy it. This was the only AAA really thinking about it game that was shown off. And again, if you watch the IGN thing, there was a lot more information provided.
Okay, tell me about what IGN said. I just think it's ridiculous that I have to watch IGN.
I know.
Disney Showcase did their own
video.
What
it is. It is what it is. So this is a AAA Amy Hennig game. Yes, that Amy Hennig of Uncharted, right? She's helping write this. Her and, oh my goodness, the name escapes me this moment. Some folks think that I sound like him. Her writing partner on this game. Darn it. Fat Man and Batman podcast. Who give me the
Mark Bernardin.
Mark Bernardin. Thank you very much. It is Amy Hennig and Mark Bernardin writing this, and it's basically a what if story, if you will. If as in right before Captain America hits the ice, right? He is Captain America now, but he hasn't hit the ice yet, and he's during World War II. What if he met the Black Panther of that time? Right, so not T'Challa, right? This will be T'Challa's grandfather, right? A great grandfather, if I'm mistaken. What if he met them? What if the two of them met at that time? And in addition to those two meeting, there are also two normal, quote unquote, human characters that are along for the ride, right? So you see one of the Dora Milaje as well as one American soldier that joins them, and it's a four character story. Although it's a single player game. It's not a multiplayer game. At least that's what
I'm already on board.
That's basically, yeah, exactly what Amy Hennig was saying, right? And basically, it's both of them kind of coming together and going, how would it be like? How would they meet? How would interesting ideas that would then fit into the canon of what we know already, and just going all in on that idea. I thought it was super, super interesting. The only thing that they said that gave me a little pause that made me go, I don't know, is Amy Hennig spent a little bit of time talking about how she feels gaming is now a little prohibitive to people who aren't gamers. So like the control and gameplay may be prohibitive for new gamers to jump in. So they're looking at ways of making it easier for new folks to jump into this game, all the while providing depth for those who are already gamers. Like this is exactly how she said it. And it made me go, is this not going to be a AAA, like almost third person, real Uncharted-like game? Or are they going to lean more heavily on cutting corners and making it seem, I don't know. But what she said there made me go a little,
maybe they lean into the Uncharted set pieces where you have to press the quick time event.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. But and to your question, Victor Alice, and by the way, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Yes, so far no gameplay has been shown. You're absolutely right. So if you watch the IGN thing, all it is Mark Bernard and Amy Hennig on a live stream, talking about what their idea was, why they were playing it, the gameplay of it, all of that. It was interesting. I love the background and stuff like that.
I trust Mark Bernardin to tell a good story.
Yes, sir. I trust Amy Hennig to tell a good gaming story because she's proven that she can do that. Yeah.
So, but my thing is, I wish, because I love this stuff, right? Just making what I'm doing the stuff I'm working on.
Absolutely, yeah.
I wish that we were mature enough to see these things at this
before they were really
without everybody zooming in 5,000% or looking at pre-production
judgment on it
things or alpha footage and things like that. Like I want to see this stuff as wireframes.
Yep. I
Show
would
me
love to
what
just
you have.
see what you
Show
got.
me
Yeah,
what you
absolutely.
pitched to get this thing made. Get
Absolutely.
me
Yep.
hype on it.
I would love to see that. Yep, absolutely.
But when you do that, you have all these a-holes online like, oh my god, it looks terrible. I'm not excited.
Okay.
Oh my god, look at the development team. They're
Okay.
no good.
Okay.
Craig.
So the long and short of it, like let's button up this whole thing. Now, oh yeah, I wanted to show you a bit of the Midnight Sun stuff. Did you see the gameplay footage of Midnight Suns?
I saw it and I don't care.
Okay. But I want to talk to you about the gameplay footage of Midnight Suns because I feel like
It's like SOCOM, right? Or something like that.
it's SOCOM, but then not only is it SOCOM, but it also adds cards to the mix, like actual cards, and each card has different
I already checked out.
But here's my point. Whether you check out or you don't check out, it's not the point, right? It's cool. Some people love this kind of gameplay, right? Which is fine. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that you should not love this kind of gameplay. My problem is, why did it take so long for them to show us what this game actually looks like? Why? Why did you sell us this action third person bill of goods this whole time, knowing darn well that the people who know it
is what got people hype, and now that people are already in. Listen, let me tell you something, right?
No, I get it. Keep going.
I used to be a real estate broker in a previous life before I got into tech. This is what you do, right? You show them the house or you show them the apartment and the location, and you talk about all the good stuff, and then you tell them the price at the end, because now they've already started viewing themselves living in the place. People started viewing themselves playing this game. So when they actually tell you what the game
look at this. That is the game, like right there, like the card moving stuff that you just.
I get it. Game. But now the people that were already invested in it, they're going to say, maybe I will give it a try. I know it's not for me, but I'm already invested now. Let me try it.
See, and that's what they're hoping. Let me be absolutely clear here, okay? I don't think the gameplay is a problem. I enjoy XCOM style games, and I will most likely enjoy this XCOM style game. I just don't think the way they showed it off, and yes, and they showed this over the summer. Yes, I did see this. I did see this pixel. It's just from day one that this game has been shown off. Every time they show it off, it's always showed off in a way of, look at this. Even now, look at what they're showing off, right? This is not what you're going to be doing moment to moment. And I feel like they're kind of, it's almost like they're not proud of the gameplay that they chose. So they're trying to obfuscate that by showing you like whiz bang, look at all these amazing things, when you know the moment to moment won't be that. It won't be action packed. It will be decision, stop, turn camera, look around, make decision, stop, turn. You know what I'm saying? It's a different gameplay style. For those who know it, they love it. It is what it is. I don't like the idea of them continuing to kind of hide that it's not that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. And remember, we talked about this the very first time they showed this off, and they finally showed us good gameplay. And there you go. It's exactly what I thought it was. Doesn't stop me from enjoying it, but I feel like they deserve some criticism, for not being upfront with what the game they're actually selling. I think that's a little bit messed up. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let us button this story up now. Okay, let me to get back to the beginning of this episode, what we were talking about, right? We were talking about potentially having different segments in this show, and then at the end we will have our main story, right? And this week, obviously, the main story is gaming, and we will keep it gaming, and moving forward, we'll continue to do so. But because it's gaming related now, you will, and I know you guys want to talk about the Phil versus the Jim versus Phil, and we will be discussing that towards the end of the show, because I know there's a lot of people that have a lot to say about it. I know Everborn has a lot to say about it. In the meantime, though, I thought we would experiment a bit with what I was talking about at the beginning of the show, which is, let's talk about some other things that have been causing us to want to have conversations, my Everborn and myself. We actually had a preliminary conversation about this like a couple of days ago. We thought, hey, this would be good on the podcast. Let's give it a try. And I think I want to call that either tech talk or maybe a tech drop. Let's do a little bit of a tech drop. Now, Why I want to talk about the tech drop is because everybody is now on and on and on about this iPhone
Okay, listen,
14
I need you
stuff.
to I want to grab a drink from the fridge.
Okay.
Start it up. I will be back in like
Okay.
45 seconds.
Okay. You heard the folks. 45 seconds. Let's go.
Now we're
Jump.
gonna get all the Apple slander and how he
Oh no no
is
no 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 no! There'll
above
be no slander
it
from
with
me.
his
There'll be no
Android.
slander from me.
But
No no.
I will be
I
right
just
back.
find it.
I'm keeping an
I just
eye
find
on
it
you.
super interesting. And folks in the chat, please communicate. Let me know how you feel about it. Apple announced all this crazy new interesting stuff, right? and Everborn saw it and thought, hey, the first thing he said to me is him and his fam are gonna jump in and get a bunch of them, right? And I'm like, okay, I hear you. And we started talking about the tech, right? And I thought, you know what, it'd be interesting to gauge the our community, right? To gauge our community. What kind of devices? How does that break out on this show anyway? And you know what? I think I'll do that. Let me do that real quick. This will be the show of polls. So let me do another poll real quick and ask: Android versus iPhone. Which one are you? If you're Android, choose Android. If you're iPhone, choose iPhone. And I want to know how it breaks out in this community because I'm sure each house has a plus and or a minus. Yeah, you're a wicked stepchild because you're you're Microsoft on Android, which is absolutely weird. But that's neither here nor there. So let's see, Android. And this is absolutely riveting viewing for listening for our audio listeners, but thank you for bearing with us. So folks, the poll is going to be live in 1 second. I want to know, please pick one, Android or iPhone, because this conversation happens all the time. Myself and Everborn, and you can tell me, Everborn, keep me honest here. We tend to be in vigorous agreement on most of these things. But this time it was very interesting. It came out, everybody's excited about it. And Everborn, you're back now. Tell me your top level thoughts when you first saw all these iPhones and all this. I know you're planning on buying them. Are you excited? What's going down?
Am I excited? No. Am I buying almost everything they announced? Probably. So here's the thing. I have a rule where this is a new rule. I've been doing it for the past, I don't know, 5 years or something. I will not upgrade my iPhone unless they change the shape. Right?
Unless they give you something more.
Right. And so because they've done that and I always go with the Pro line, because if I'm going to have it for 2 or 3 years, I'll just figure I get the best one, and then that'll be fine until they do their next upgrade. So for me, like I was saying, if they added USB-C, I would upgrade, or they would have to have some kind of shape change. And they did one of the two. So I said, all right, it's time. I will go and do it. I'm running a 12 Pro Max currently. And that's sort of what that's my daily driver. Now I am fully aware that
and you know what? I brought this conversation up thinking, hey, we're gonna have a great conversation between us and the community. I forgot the violence and the slander that is going to ensue already. Listen to this. Doovie already out here. iOS better than Android.
But see,
not
here's
even
the thing.
close.
I used to be in the people forget that they think this whole platform war thing is just in gaming. It is not.
I think that the handset wars are worse.
There's still salty people using Linux that are mad Windows took over. But anyway, which is coming full circle now. But I say this to say, I used to be in those streets. And Mr. Inferno Games, you are goddamn right. Windows Phone is at the
everybody,
top,
right? So seconded only by what do you call it?
Actually, I would actually put the Palm Pre above Windows Phone, but that was a short run.
I still have a Palm Pre as we speak. I have a Palm phone somewhere in literally in early 2000s. Somebody gave it to me for work, a work phone, and I never gave it back. It's still here somewhere. Anyway, but continue, Everborn. So what were you saying? Oh, I think we may have lost him for a moment. Anyway,
No, you
so
didn't. You didn't lose me. You didn't lose me.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
here.
okay.
No, so here's the thing. I used to be in those streets. I used to this. I was there at the beginning of the rise of what we look at today as the smartphone. But like I'm talking about, I was there in the Windows Phone 6.5 days, right?
Yeah. See, and this is why we're all kindred spirits. Pixelbit G says iPac is king. Shout out to Pixelbit G.
Right?
Oh, nobody knows about the
Windows
iPac.
Mobile days,
Indeed,
were a good time. But I say that to say, after Palm Pre died, and then Windows Phone, I had my hopes there, and I still think it was the superior operating system. After that, I literally didn't care anymore, and so I was like, listen, I need to go with what's the most convenient. And I've never been a fan of Apple. Like, I don't use Macs. I have a Mac Mini M1 right now, but that is literally because they force you to do this. If I want to push a build to test flight, you need a Mac.
I used to push builds with my Hackintosh from Windows, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm not.
Continue, sir.
So anyway, so the point that I'm trying to make is, I have been trying to leave the Apple ecosystem, but the further you get, it's like quicksand, right? So I have the AirPods, and then those AirPods not only work with the phone, but they also work with the Apple TV, which I have an Apple TV in every room. And then they can also work with the watch if I forget to bring my phone, and then the watch won't work with the Android device.
You see?
This is before we get to the blue bubble.
Apple slaves we're talking about here. Apple slaves,
right?
Oh boy.
But here's the thing. I'm not saying that it's better. I'm saying it's a prison.
Okay.
Right? you can't leave.
Now you can't leave, indeed.
So these are what you call golden handcuffs, right? But I see what they're doing. I'm not like super excited about it. But at a certain point, it's time to upgrade your phone, and they make it so hard to switch platforms.
Yes, sir.
It's really. And another thing, there's a lot of Apple people that think that texting is better on the iPhone. It's not. Please, Apple is artificially making it worse.
Speak the truth, good sir.
That's not in the ecosystem, and I know that, and I hate that. But getting everyone to switch over, it's not just for me. Like if I want to make the real switch to Android, because I love the Surface Duo. I mean, it has its problems, right? But I think it's great. But I tried this for about a week before my wife and kids shamed me back into going
because of the green bubbles. Because of the green bubbles?
I was ruining group chats left and right. And everybody in my family has an iPhone. So I can't, I can, right? This is first world problems. But I'm just like, I guess I'll get it. But now they changed the shape. And I do want to talk about this dynamic island thing. Because I do think it's...
let's talk about that real quick. Okay. So there are two ways to view this. There's the cynical view, and then there's the view that it is innovative, and I think both have merit, right? The cynical view being Apple has never been able to crack the nut on in-screen fingerprints. They've never been able to crack that nut.
But they don't need to. They can do it on the power button like they have on the iPad.
Well, hold on. Let me set the stage, right? They've never been able to crack that nut, right? But whereas Android has been able to do that, and at this point, it is just as good. But Apple has never been able to successfully by itself do that, and instead they went the Face ID Connect route. Let's be real. A quick aside from my gamer people out there. Yes, that is the Connect. Literally, the same team that made the Connect that Microsoft uses were then bought by Apple, and they shrunk down the tech, and that's what you use for your Face ID. So you're using Connect. Thank you for the Connect for continuing your Face ID for every day. That is a bit of a trivia for you. But needless to say, they did that. Now, even in this space, the cynical view in here can be they still, in this instance, they have not figured out how to do behind the glass what do you call it? Webcam, front facing cams, which Android has. Now, to be fair, when Android does it, the quality of cam suffers, right? But we know that anytime Apple takes something on, they love to take it on, right? Someone's cracked the nut, but it's never perfect. And then they like put the Apple stank on it, as it were, charge you more. And then look what we discovered. But they haven't been able to do that here. So the cynical view in me says, well, instead of admitting that they haven't really cracked the nut on getting that cylinder sphere to look that ideal way that they've always wanted to, they instead went the other route and added some innovation to the eyesore, which, let's speak on that eyesore for a moment. People call it the pill. It was called it was called so many different things. Now they've removed that small piece at the top. I'm sure some folks have seen some of the updates going on here and there. What do you think, Everborn Saga? Did they crack? Is this worthy, or is this just lipstick on a pig?
I think so. Here's the thing: I don't take a lot of selfies, so I would have rather they just did the other screen thing. But understanding that they can't do that, and people do take selfies. That's like some people's whole career,
Yep.
Right? I get it, and I feel like this is probably the best possible implementation of a workaround.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
The idea of, because it's an OLED screen and you can get these perfect blacks, and building in basically like merging the hardware with the software. So you have the pill, but now you've changed your notification system and action center items.
And let's be honest, iOS's notification systems have been horrible for a long time. So this might be actually a really good upgrade for that.
Right. But it's not just the notifications. It's like app controls when you're doing something else. So it actually works as a really good multitasking solution to kind of switch back and forth between apps.
Other things,
so
yeah.
I think like this marrying of hardware and software for that, I actually think it's and I hate to give Apple credit, but
yeah,
I think it's great.
Yeah, right? I think like to me, this is lipstick on a pig, but this is the best lipstick I've ever seen. Well done.
Right, this is
well
Revlon.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
It's still lipstick on a pig. Let's be real, because if you had your way, you wouldn't see any of the tech. It would just be a screen, and that's it. That's what they want, but they can't have that, because every time they try it, it's not perfect. They want it to be perfect security as well as perfect camera.
They will
and you can't
do
have
this as soon as someone on Android figures it out.
Right?
As soon as
I'm not going there for.
No. As soon as Android figures out how to do an under the screen camera without degrading the image quality, then Apple will turn around and pretend like they invented it. Just like they're going to turn around and pretend they invented USB-C. But like, I get it. I fully understand what I'm getting myself into. But what I am saying, and I don't care what any of you say in the chat, the iPhone is easier to use. I am sorry.
So the iPhone is easier to use than Android?
Absolutely. 1,000%.
I would say,
I will not be taking any questions.
As a person who actively uses Android and iPhone like on a daily basis, like I literally am a dual user driver. This is my Galaxy S21, and here's my iPhone 10. I use them every day because I need one for work and I need one for shout out to Splendid First. Welcome, sir. I need one for work, and I tend to be an Android user. I will agree with you that out of the box, if you are I'm not saying it in a pejorative fashion. I was going to say if you're a know-nothing. If you're not a person who's well versed in technology or speak the language that they're trying to say to you, it is easier to understand iOS than it is
the
Android.
Thing is, because I don't
but that I just said there, that is very, very much a very thin line now. It used to be a huge chasm back in the day when iOS was at its height and Android was still on the come up. The chasm was massive. Now, today, you could give a normal user who's not a power user an Android phone, and because Android has such is so customizable, you can customize it for a normal user, and they'll never have an issue using it. I know so because I've done so for my mother. Right.
And listen, this is the barometer, right? Can you give because you don't want to be the tech support person for everybody. That's right. To recommend a phone.
Because if you give the wrong device, you're going to hear back from them all the time. So that's how I know it's good enough, because before, Android was not good enough for mom. Now Android is good enough for mom. Mom could just use it. It's no big deal.
So my thing is, because I don't really have a horse in the race, I don't want I want something that is for dummies. This is not a complication in life that I want to think about.
Sure.
So this is the most generic, high performing device I could get. Then that's what I'm going to get. And then I don't think about it for
so
2
long
or 3
story
years.
short, you buying these?
Oh, I'm buying 2 of them. One for me, one for the missus. My AirPods have been struggling to keep a charge, but they're like 2.5 years old because I got them when they first came out. So I'm going to get the new AirPods.
Okay.
And then the missus just bought a gold watch band, but her watch is silver, so she's like, I need a new watch. And I'm like, well, if you get the new watch, I'm getting a new watch.
I want to buy a Model X Tesla tires, and then hopefully the car will show up after that. You know what I'm saying?
So,
that's awesome.
But no, here's the problem with this. The gold watch only comes in stainless steel, and the stainless steel watches are $699.
Oh boy, yes, fantastic. Yeah, we won't get into that because we have a lot more to talk about.
If I'm doing all that, I'm like, look, you know what? I might as well get that Apple Watch Ultra because it has 3 days of battery life.
I'll be honest with you. Now, like I said, I am one who lives in both camps. I'm an Apple Watch user. I have found that maybe, possibly, I might be able to get my work to pay for the Pro Max. If I can get the work to pay for the Pro Max, Ultra on deck. I'm just doing it. I'm just going to do it. Needless to say, let us button this up by saying, yeah, I'm reluctantly, I will most likely buy one of these things because I am a reluctant user of 2 ecosystems, and I'm sick and tired of carrying around 2 phones all the time. And work requires iOS.
So they got you. And this is what I'm talking about.
I don't like it, but yeah.
This is what Ubiquity does. And we both keep saying we don't like it so that we don't seem like Apple lemmings. But at the end of the day, they still got our money.
No. Well, they ain't got my money because I'm going to make sure work pays for that phone. Okay, I'm not paying for that. See, this is my Galaxy Ultra 21. I'd be happy, but my phone got cracked for some reason. Yes, there's a hole right there. It got cracked. And because of that, I can no longer take photos. So I need to replace my phone. And that's what brings up the whole question of, hey, am I doing this again? But needless to say,
I would be
folks
just
in the
passionate
chat
as all of you if Microsoft put out a phone that had Windows.
Man, if only they did the proper.
Like, imagine if this was a Windows device, like a dual screen Windows device.
And by the way, I did see what you sent me, good sir, where somebody has gotten Windows 11 to run on it pretty well. I was pretty interested. I was like, yo, that might get me to buy one.
No, I need Microsoft to put it out because I don't want to deal with any
you don't want any BS.
Quirks,
yeah, you don't want any BS.
Like, absolutely. I want a phone dialer on it, and then just give me stock Windows on ARM.
Yep. Okay, so let's move on from this tech drop conversation. But again, just a test we're trying out, just an experiment. We like talking tech. Myself and Everborn, we do it all the time on the phone. We figured, hey, why not throw some tech in the show? Maybe have a little segment for it, break it out later. We'll do that. And on that topic, and we will get back to the main story at hand because we still have some time, but let's do a little bit on the real real quick. Okay, let's do a little bit on the real because there have been conversations that I want to talk to Everborn about. I don't know if Everborn has seen this. Have you seen this, sir? If you have, what do you think?
The Little Mermaid trailer.
What do you think, sir?
I think that The Little Mermaid has always taken place in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
And so
so you're hitting to the politics right away.
Right away. She has a Jamaican crab best friend. Because it takes place in the Caribbean.
Yes, right.
And so if you think about it, White Ariel was kind of racist to begin with. This seems to me like just righting wrong. And whoever is doing, I don't know if she's actually singing the song here, but it sounds really good. I say all that to say I don't give a shit about this movie, and I'm probably not going to watch it unless the kids want to watch it on Disney Plus.
You know the kids will.
There is no way I'm going to the theater to see this. But it looks for what they're trying to accomplish, it looks good. I just don't care. Okay. Not my cup of tea.
Okay. Okay, I saw it. You know, we heard the whole thing about it when they cast her. I thought that was super interesting. I will say though, as good of a singer as she is, and she's an amazing singer, like amazing singer, no doubt, no shade at all. This small part that she sang, I wasn't impressed.
I
It didn't.
was
It didn't.
actually. It
It didn't
actually
blow me
really
over.
it hit home for me. I just
Nope,
didn't
it didn't.
care.
It didn't do it for me
It
because it's like I feel kind of like if you're gonna switch it up and you're gonna go all in, like switching it up the character and making it like making how it should be. Maybe don't sing. Well, I don't know the same song. Yeah, it just didn't sound right for me personally. But I think she looks great. I'm looking forward to seeing how and it is her voice. She's an amazing singer. It's just I don't know. Maybe I need to hear more. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I thought I'd get your quick take on that. See what you think about it. And also, if you wanted to have a quick chat, because I know you really wanted to have a quick chat about the Rings of Power.
It's great. I love
We
it.
we may not get into it. Like,
I've only
and
seen.
by the
I
way,
haven't. I save it for Sundays because I watch it back to back with
yeah.
House of the Dragon.
And by the way,
Um,
real quick on the top, before we even get into it, so everybody knows, if we talk movies or TV or any of that, we will never speak spoilers. If we speak spoilers, we will make sure we're about to speak spoilers, and we'll most likely put it at the end of the show or something. We're not talking spoilers at all. We're just touching on it real quick. Speak on, sir. Go ahead.
I think it's great. I love the fact that the story is spread out, and episode 1 starts a little slow, but by the time we get to the end of episode 2, and everyone is starting to set off on their journey, and we see who has that sword, and we're wondering who this stranger is, and we're down. We're seeing that the who's are coming back, and we're seeing the Harfoots, and Galadriel, which just can't let things go. All of it is great, and you see the budget in every scene.
It is on the
Right?
screen,
And you will
baby.
never
It is
see this on
on the
television
screen.
again. I'm telling you right now,
Yep.
there's no one that is going to spend this kind of money to make a streaming television show. So enjoy this while it lasts. I really love it. I don't know if anyone's complaining about it, but I even like when they went to the dwarven mines and all that, it's really well produced. I think everybody's bringing their A game on the acting performance front, and I love it, man. It feels like you're watching a movie every week, and
They really did thread that
I
needle
can't get
of,
enough of it.
hey, you probably watched like the Peter Jackson outing, so this is basically a continuation of that. It feels so much like it's
to that, but yes.
Well, yeah,
a continuation
like,
production wise.
Production wise, exactly. It feels so much like we're just heading down the same visuals. You're seeing it all there. It is very much on the screen.
Every frame feels like a painting.
Yeah.
Every
absolutely.
frame.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And don't worry, for those who want to watch it, like after it's all said and done, there'll be no spoilers from us here. Don't worry. I know, some like to binge the whole thing once it's said and done. We're not going to spoil nothing for you here. We're just commenting on what we think on it, and we'll always keep it light. We'll always keep it at the top. But moving forward, before we get to our main story, I'm like breezing through it because I know that the main topic is going to last us a while, I suspect. And then we will talk
I did want
a little
some
bit
more tech talk, but we can do that later.
I know. I just wanted to drop a few little bugs here and there. I wanted to touch a bit on She-Hulk. Have you seen more?
I watched the latest episodes I watch everything on Sunday, so I have not seen Thursday's show.
You haven't seen
but my only question is, did they disrespect the Hulk again?
I mean, do you want cameos that are or are not there? Are those considered spoilers?
Kind of, because the whole show is about cameos.
Okay, well then I can't talk to you about whether they did or did not disrespect the Hulk. So all I will tell you is the latest episode. If you come in with your expectations correctly calibrated, it's a fun show. I enjoy it.
Okay, but was there more twerking? That's what I want to know.
There was spoiler alert, no more twerking. No more twerking. No. No, there was, they probably could only afford the stallion for one episode because
Jesus
stallions are not
Christ.
cheap. You know what I'm saying? They don't come cheap.
You know what I feel like is the problem with She-Hulk?
What is the problem?
Every time something good happens, the credits roll.
Because it's a short show. That's the
I
problem.
understand, but
it's a short show. Yeah.
It feels like it's short because the CG budget is so high. So I really can't get into it because every time nothing happens.
Every time you're about to get into it, it's over.
Right. And then you get to the following week and they don't really pick it up from there. It's like, all that good stuff happened off screen.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
So
I mean, for what it is, it's a fun little show. That's all I can say about it. It's a fun little show. It's a fun little show that has cool Easter eggs and stuff that will most likely mean more for the MCU moving forward. That's what it is, right? It's not like this amazing must tune in every month type situation. You know what I'm saying?
Well, right? No, here's the thing. I need to crack a little code for you guys that I feel like the wool is being pulled over everybody's eyes and they don't realize it.
Speak on it. Yeah,
and here's what happens, right? Because it happens over and over again. You watch this stuff and you be like, you know what? This one isn't for me. I'm going to tune out. And then the next day there's a big cameo that sets up the next thing, and then everybody's talking about it, and then the show that you didn't care about, now you go back and then run and get up to date to see what's going on so that you could be a part of the conversation. And now what have you done? You've just watched the show that you didn't care about.
Indeed.
Over and over again.
So what you're saying is they're just dropping cameos in there to keep you watching even though you don't like the show.
Yes.
Understand.
And when Daredevil eventually shows up, you're going to be like, 100%. Daredevil came here. Yeah, let me figure out a way to get to this. Let me go watch the episodes from the beginning. Okay, cool. Now I'm caught up.
Yes.
But the end result is the same. Mm-hmm. You are just watching whatever they give you. They're spoon feeding you.
Indeed.
This is a part of the model. You don't need to watch it day one with everybody. They're going to get you. Their net is wide.
So all I will say, if you haven't seen this week's episode, all I will say is it is like it's putting a different spin on a character that you're used to. And I think it was well done and funny. That's all. Right? Is it must watch? No. But it's fun.
People who read She-Hulk, is this far off from the character?
No, not at all.
So then, not at all.
But this is my point. That's why I'm like, come in with your expectations correctly calibrated. If you read the She-Hulk comics, and I've read some, I haven't read them all, but I've read some. This is exactly how it is. It's tongue in cheek. It's cute. It's fourth wall breaking whenever possible. It's talking about, it's basically they try very hard to do the Sex in the City thing in the backdrop of and she's a Hulk and there's that Marvel all around. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they're trying to do. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about, isn't it funny how normal they are while she's a Hulk and at any moment's notice she can Hulk out and something happens. You know what I mean? Like that's the shtick.
And we watch it because we're angry about twerking or the Hulk getting disrespected or for Daredevil showing up. But the end result is we watch it.
Yeah, exactly. And as HDTV, welcome, sir. This is I think it's the first time I'm seeing your avatar on here. Welcome, sir. I appreciate you being here. And he says, yes, it's exactly the same thing as her character in the comics. Yeah. So if you know that walking in,
Hulk it's exactly like the Hulk in the comics.
We're not going to that rant today. No, we're not doing that rant. If you want to see that rant, there's a couple episodes back. It's a good long rant. You'll appreciate that one. But okay. So once again, that has been a bit of experimenting on some things that I want to add to the show. And I look forward to hearing some feedback from the community. As y'all know, you guys send me comments all the time. I always read them. I always reply back. What do you think? It may not be every week we drop different things in, but some weeks maybe we'll have a more robust on the reel section. Maybe some weeks we'll have a more robust tech section. Some weeks we won't have it at all, depending on what's going on and what we want to talk about. So if you guys are down with that, please let us know. If you're not down, hey, it is what it is. Let me know as well. We might break these out, as I said, make them different sections, different little playlists that people can enjoy. Might bring this back into OBS, have cool animated, we have ideas, but we'll get there.
You ever think about, this is shop talk, but you ever think about going Streamlabs, because then you can bring in those animations kind of lightweight and still run it online?
It's run by some unsavory
Yeah,
characters.
so are Activision and Sony, and probably
Yeah.
Microsoft. Who
But okay,
cares?
but you know what? If you haven't already, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. We're so close to that 1,000 subscriber mark that we've been working so hard to get to. Before we hit the big show and the big honking conversation we're here to talk about, and y'all know what that is. Before we get there, though, real quick, this popped up on the radar this morning, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on it, Everborn, before we get to the Phil
I
versus Jim thing.
don't believe it. Can we move on to the next thing?
Please don't believe them. So, for those who are unaware, Rumor Mill, absolute rumor, basically is saying 2023 expect a Switch Pro with Series S comparable
No.
specifications.
False.
No? False? You don't think that'll happen?
False.
Why do you immediately go false? Go ahead.
When was the last time the Switch Pro rumor came through? Like, what is worse, PlayStation insiders or people predicting the Switch Pro?
Yes, sir. And by the way, the Switch Pro would then support DLSS and ray tracing.
Right, but again, I don't know that you can shrink down the SoC in terms of cooling and all this other things that you need to do. And
keep going. Yep.
You cannot. Not even if you don't know, you can't do that. And I don't think Moore's law would allow us to do that by next year anyway. So I don't think it will be on par with a Series S. Not saying it won't be more powerful, but don't just throw the Series S out there just because. Not saying you're doing that.
And while I completely agree with you on your point, which I completely agree with you, Everborn, another reason why I think it will never happen.
Programmatic Eagle really hits the nail on the head.
Exactly. That's where I was going. And thank you, Programmatic Eagle. Always here with the good takes. And that's exactly my point on it. Why the hell would they spend the R&D dollars when the abacus, known as the Switch today, is still Scrooge McDucking them?
I'm not saying they won't
do
an upgrade. I'm saying Nintendo is not trying to be on top of being not possible. They're not going to spend the billions to try to make it possible.
That's right. What all of this is saying, it's a pipe dream. It is a pipe dream. And let's be clear here. Your Series S does do ray tracing. It does today. It does ray tracing. Oh, and by the way, the Steam Deck is capable of ray tracing. Absolutely, it is, because it's the same SoC. The difference is they haven't enabled it on the NVIDIA on the AMD driver side. But how much it'll cost you to use the ray tracing, it's not worth the effort. It's just not. Even though the silicon is there to be able to do it, like, it's not meant for that purpose. So if you actually have to use it, you probably could, but you're turning your 30 frames per second game to 4 frames per second at that point. Good luck doing that. And this iteration, right? This combination of system on chip with CPU and GPU, although there are many variations on it, right? And there are many companies like Aya Neo and a few other companies that are doing some very innovative stuff in that space. That's as small as it gets. And this is as best as you're going to get for the foreseeable future in the next, 3-4 years as they keep iterating and iterating. So this stuff that they're saying here, I don't see that possibly being in the realm of possibility anytime soon, because the companies that are focused on iterating on this stuff as their daily bread aren't even getting anywhere close to any of these heights. And they're trying to basically hit for that every day. There's like 15 different Aya Neo versions coming out every day, and still they're not hitting that. So, it's a cool, it's a cool idea, but highly doubtful that this thing will materialize. But let us move on to the big story, the big topic, the big conversation, if you will, right? And Mr. Everborn Saga, I think I will let you, if you want to, you can lead this conversation. Those who are here know what this is about. Most likely, there's been a lot of back and forth between all the various gaming companies, right? We don't know exactly all the various companies that have been asked to provide feedback, right? But depending on whether it's the Brazilian regulatory bodies or somewhere else, you've heard, okay, this various entities have provided feedback on this Activision Blizzard King acquisition deal, right? So at this point, there's been a lot of back and forth, and then of course recently it came out, and Phil Spencer came out and basically said he had a conversation with Sony proper on leaving Activision Blizzard, leaving Call of Duty specifically on the PlayStation platform beyond the bounds of the regulatory, beyond the bounds of the agreed upon
and
contractual.
We all know that means forever and ever until the sun burns out and
but
the universe
two things
goes to an absolute
two things
zero.
And I want to have this conversation in earnest. Two things. Thing number one, this tells me, right now, let us be absolutely 100% crystal about what this says. They were not saying, oh, I had a conversation with PlayStation and then we're going to give them the marketing rights beyond 2024, which is where it ends now. No, they were saying, hey, we've had a conversation with PlayStation and we're going to keep feature parity of Call of Duty on the PlayStation platform for 3 years. We offered to keep it on there for 3 years beyond the end of the marketing deal, which is in 2024, right? With that said, this has been a conversation that's been going around and around for a long time, and we're going to get into the meat and potatoes, and we're going to be slanderous all across the board. But I need this to be said because a lot of us in this community have been going back and forth on it, and this should end this conversation. All of those that were going, oh, they're never going to remove it. It's going to stay multi-plat forever because they would never say one thing and then do the other. Listen to what was just said. They have agreed to keep it on PlayStation for 3 years longer than the marketing agreement. What does that tell you? It tells you that had they not done that, they would have taken it off of PlayStation. So y'all were wrong. I'm sorry. All of you who were like, oh, they won't say they're keeping it on PlayStation and then remove it later because then the regulatory bodies can come back and get back at them. This conversation means you were wrong. Oh, it's too lucrative. They won't remove it.
No, but why admit I was wrong when I can say that Phil Spencer and Microsoft lied to regulators, even though I have no proof of that because I don't know what documentation was sent.
Oh, so,
I can just assume that it meant whatever I felt like. Call of Duty is
a different animal. It's a different beast. There's no way that that Microsoft would remove it because it makes too much money. Wrong. They were ready to remove it. They're giving Microsoft is giving Sony a mea culpa of 3 more years. Now we can talk about what that mea culpa really is, and we're going to talk about what that really is. But let's be clear. Issue 1, and I want everybody on here to be clear about this because this conversation caused a lot of consternation in the marketplace, in the community, in our community. Everybody was bitching and complaining about how, oh, I can't believe this or I can't believe that. At the end of the day, though, they were going to keep it exclusive to Xbox platforms, to Game Pass platforms.
Maybe we shouldn't be in the business of talking about what a $2 trillion company can and cannot afford. That's what we should probably start. That's what we should lead with.
Right? Maybe we should not be, in the bag of like standing on our square. Impossible when because when this whole thing happened, I said from day one, Phil Spencer hasn't said anything new. They've said a lot of different things, nothing new. Right?
A lot of different things and a whole lot of nothing.
What's the end of all of this? The end of all of this is, your marketing deal ends in 2024. That is a fact, right? We'll throw you a bone, give you 3 more years of it being on your platform. At which case, all bets are off.
Well,
that's thing number one.
I do want to. I want to add a certain. I mean, we can get I guess we can talk about it when we get to Jim Ryan's comments, but like. Even with that 3 years, that's not even a guarantee that they will pull it off. It just means that they could if Sony doesn't agree to whatever terms they have. Yep. And so what Sony is trying to get, and I know you're going to read these comments, but what they're trying to do is have some sort of, because we're not negotiating unless we both have some leverage.
Yep.
There is no leverage when
There's no
Microsoft
leverage
says
on
we're
Sony's
offering
part.
you this. Even that wording is nice. We're saying you get 3 years, take it, or you get nothing. That's up to you, right? But because if the purchase goes through, especially if it goes through without concessions regarding Call of Duty, then Sony has no leg to stand on. And they know that, so they need to sort of badmouth the deal in any way that they can so that they can hopefully, and this is a gamble, hopefully get the regulators to care about them, continuing to be in first place and can care about what games are exclusive or not exclusive to their platform. So, but they have, unless regulators step in, they have nothing. And you have to read everything in that context. They have no bargaining chips to tell Microsoft what to do with any Activision properties unless the regulators come in and force it to be mandated in writing.
And my
Barring
favorite
that,
part,
you take what you get.
My favorite part is how Jim responded, how he was talking. I loved it. It was hilarious. I had intended to comment, not to comment on what I understand to be a private business discussion.
But here's the thing: he's full of shit. Right?
We are going to have to label this rated R on this episode. We've dropped too many of them.
So who dropped the 3-year number? Was it Phil or was it Jim
actually,
Ryan?
it was let's see. It was no one. I don't think any of them specifically said 3 years. I think Phil said multiple. He said multiple years.
No, but we're getting the 3-year number from somewhere, right?
Oh, here we go. Jim said it. So Phil said we've provided a signed agreement to Sony featuring feature parity for at least several more years. That's what Phil said, right? Several more years. Okay. And then Jim said,
let me ask you a question.
Hold on.
You go to dictionary.com and look up the definition of several real quick?
Several, and shout out to, and he's not in the chat today, but shout out to him. Shout out to Slow-Mo Backslap, him and his Oxford Dictionary reading. Several meaning more than two, but less than, but less. More than two, but not
less
than
much. Forever.
Yeah, more than two, less than too much. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. So it's more than two. That's about it.
But and here's the thing, right? Everybody wanted to interpret whatever they meant, and because their interpretation was wrong, even though we were clear on this the whole time, their interpretation was wrong. So now they want to call everyone a liar because they cannot admit that they were coping. That's what happened.
And now the response was, and where did the number the 3 years exactly come from? It came from this response right here from Jim Ryan saying Microsoft has only offered for Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years.
And you're lucky you got that.
Well, let me finish the statement. Let me finish the statement. For 3 years after the current agreement between Activision and Sony ends. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on many levels and fails to take into account the impact on our players. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers continue to have the highest quality of Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermined this.
Hold on a minute. Okay. Here's the thing. Those ain't Phil's kids. Jim Ryan, those are your customers. You take care of your kids, pay your goddamn child support, and stop looking at other people to bring them McDonald's. Mm-hmm. Phil sounds like that girl where the dude brought the McDonald's to his own kid and was like, you got to feed all my kids from my other baby daddies. Listen, this is the thing. The idea that Phil says that Jim says I wasn't going to say anything is interesting to me, because back in February is when Microsoft said they offered it on a multi-year basis. That's what Brad Smith said in his separately from his interview that he did in February. He told that to CNN. CNN reported it back then, but Jim Ryan comes the day before the decision that the CMA deadline. Jim Ryan comes and says, that, oh, I wasn't gonna say anything. Negro, yes, you were gonna say anything. You was
Ninja,
planning on
please.
snitching this whole time. You are running to any regulator that will listen, barefoot and hungry, begging them to please step in and save you. The problem is you're gonna get looked at like you talking to Rorschach. And he was gonna say they begged me to save them, and I told them no. Right? So the thing is this. The 3-year offer, right? Because
Yep.
what I need you to understand what happens about. Hold on. So Gabe Gabe says, what's wrong with Jim Ryan caring about the players? He doesn't care about
But
the
he
players.
doesn't care about the players.
He
Yeah.
cares about his players.
Well, okay, hold on. And even there, he doesn't care about his players. Let's dig into that real quick. So you see what I've highlighted on the screen there, right? We want to guarantee PlayStation players continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. Let me dig into why I think he said that, and why I think you and I are in agreement on why he's not here for the players.
What if Phil wants his players to have the highest quality Spider-Man?
Get this, Everborn, real quick. Get this. I suspect, and this is maybe I digitally grabbed your tinfoil hat and put it on, because this is my tinfoil hat conspiracy. I suspect, even though no more has been said about this conversation, about what was had, I suspect the reason why why Jim is in such a mood about it, and why he's saying it undermines this principle of them having the quality experience, is because they're, first and foremost, 2024 is where they will lose marketing rights, which means the 3 years that they're getting aren't 3 years of renewed marketing rights. It's 3 years of it just basically living on PlayStation, right? So what happens during that 3 years, right? Now, you, Everborn, can talk to me about why they gave them that extra 3 years, because I think you're right on that. But in the meantime, what happens during that 3 years? During that 3 years, every time you boot up Call of Duty on a PlayStation, what will you see? You will see an Xbox logo. You will see betas come to Xbox, maybe not PlayStation, right? They may not nickel and dime as bad as Sony has been so far, because obviously Activision's pay to play. If you got the money, they'll let you do what you do, right? I doubt that Microsoft will do it to that extent. But basically, what they will be doing is, in the course of that 3 extra years where it's on PlayStation, you will be marketing Game Pass and Microsoft while doing so, right? Then at the end of that 3 years, think about when that 3 years is, right? You've had your marketing end at 2024, and then you got 3 years added to that, 5, 6, 7. What are we talking about in 2027? Everborn, go.
We're talking about the next generation of consoles. And so I can see a world where, when we get to what the PlayStation 6, and let some people tell it if there is one,
Shout out to the ILP.
When we get to the next version of these consoles, COD could be a launch exclusive. And if you're putting out Warzone 2 this year,
why would they concede the point? Why would they concede 3 years to Sony?
Well, but here's the thing, right? One, it's a gimme for the regulators. This is them. They've been one step ahead of all the complaints for these last 7 months, right? So what the 3 years does several things. It makes you not look terrible, right? It also gives them a total of 5 years for people to get used to the idea of Xbox being the primary place to play COD. That is 5 years to transition over all the casuals that you can. At that point, once you are looked at as the premier place to play COD, and you have brought over those casuals, the only people left playing on PlayStation will be the zealots, because it'll be a no-brainer. So at that point, you will have substantially lessened, not the competition, but the audience of COD on the PlayStation ecosystem, because we'll also no longer be able to rely on the 100 million PS4 users. It'll be whatever they've sold on the PS5. So at that point, the numbers are way less than if you just pulled it off on day one. And the financial hit, not saying they couldn't afford it, but they didn't become a $2 trillion company by throwing away money. The financial hit 5 years from now, when you've had 5 years of being known as the premier console and driven over the casuals, it's going to be way less that you're cutting off. And at that point, it becomes feasible.
Yep, exactly. Absolutely. And right now, today, and I think it was who was it that I heard was talking about? I think it was Slow Mo that I heard talking about it, who really made a great point about it. Like,
also,
imagine
last
if
thing,
they
last thing.
Oh,
Sorry,
no, go ahead.
Warzone is the other thing, like, because they're saying we're not going to take off games. Guess what? In 2027 or 2028, it'll be time for Warzone 3.
Yeah.
And is there a world where Warzone 3 is Xbox ecosystem?
But see, but that's exactly it, right? Everybody talks about Warzone, and every time you talk about Warzone, people go, "Well, you don't know the game because Warzone and the campaign are tied." Yeah, the Warzone and campaign are tied today because that's the way Activision wants it. Once they're making iterations or new versions of the Warzone live service game, they could easily untie it from the campaign if the source, the owner of the franchise, which then would be Microsoft, wants it that way. So that's neither here nor there, right? The reason why I think it's very interesting and very strategic that they're basically seeding that 3 years is because imagine right now a casual goes into a store to go buy a version of Call of Duty, and imagine next year, let's say 2023, right? Deal is done. They go buy Call of Duty, and what happens? As soon as they go in there, the person goes, "Yeah, sorry, you can only play it on PlayStation now," right? At that point, the person who's in that store bought that console already. They're already there. This is not a person who's making their new purchasing decision. This is a person who's already made that purchasing decision. So there's no reason to penalize them by saying you can no longer play your favorite game, right? But between now and 3 years from now, they're priming the pump.
By the time you have to make the decision to buy your next console, we're going to guarantee that COD is that deciding factor.
And by then, you'll see the Game Pass / Xbox logo related to Call of Duty like everywhere. So there'll be no question as to where you can play next time you go to make.
So hold on a minute. I want to answer Gabe really quick. No, please, I'm not saying that at all. That was a joke, but it is also something people in the community say. I actually think PlayStation will be just fine. The problem that we're having here is people don't think PlayStation should have to compete. They think that they've earned this spot at the top and they're guaranteed to have it forever. And I would ask anyone who is afraid about this deal and what it will do to the market, but firstly, most people that pretend they care about this stuff don't. They're actually just using it as some moral argument to protect their favorite toy, their plastic toy. But in every event we have seen people, after getting their teeth kicked in, go back and compete because you have to offer something of value to the customer. We saw it happen to Apple, where they were on their kind of deathbed and Microsoft had to lend them money, and now they're the most valuable company in the world, right? Absolutely. We saw it happen to Nintendo when the Sega first came around, and then we know how that ended up with Sega. Right, we saw what happened with the PS3 and how that got us the PS4 and all the great things they did then. We are in the middle of seeing what happened with the Xbox One and how that got Microsoft to wake up and invest, and now we are where we are with the series. So in every event, you've been proven that these companies are not just going to go silently into the night, and they are going to offer things in an attempt to compete for our dollars. And shouldn't you want that? What if Sony, their back was against the wall? And then that is when you get the greatness and the magic. So why not?
So basically,
let them feel the pressure.
You're saying all this to say. You're basically saying, thank goodness for the Xbox One generation, because that's what got us Game Pass. And if the PS5 generation is seeded eventually to Xbox, that'll give us some innovation on PlayStation side, because they will be spurred to innovate, because
Microsoft was dominant with Windows and Office, and then but they were tied to the PC, and then the mobile revolution came, and everyone, including customers and the media, turned against them, the company as a whole, looking at them like they were going to be the next IBM. And
Absolutely.
from 2007 until now, look at the turnaround and how Microsoft is just viewed. I'm not even just talking about Xbox. They had to turn the company around and turn the image around and offer things that people wanted. And it took them a decade to do it, but they did it.
Mm-hmm.
So God forbid Sony has to try.
This is exactly the point. This is exactly the point. 100%, right? It feels like this existential threat where if they lose their seat at the top of the Game of Thrones throne, all of a sudden their heads are going to get chopped off or something. No, they will be number 2, God forbid, right? And then they'll do something amazing or release something absolutely, transformational, and they'll gain their top spot again. Or maybe they won't, or somebody else will. But all in all, that will work for us in the long run. And by us, I mean the gamers who end up playing.
I do want to add one other thing to consider here. It just in regards to the CMA and things like that. I really think Sony were not the only ones to complain. Right?
No, I agree with you on that.
Because when they start talking about new entrants into the market, and they start I don't even think, I even wonder if they talk about like when that probably was Sony, but it's weird because do you want
Google, right? That's probably Google.
Right. Do you want regulators worrying about exclusive content? Like it seems like the CMA's argument is that anything that benefits your ecosystem is bad for competition.
Yeah, but that's
weird.
But that's exactly the problem with that line of conversation or that narrative, because that can easily be turned. That can easily be turned.
Boom says let him in.
Oh yeah. I mean, come on now. I saw that, bro. I was just about to send him the invite right away. That can easily be turned in against Sony, right? Because the same way you can say, hey, at the end of the day, if competition against Sony is bad, then why is God of War not on Xbox?
I'll tell you one thing. What Sony wants is to
and I have
be
God
able
of War on my
to,
mind because I have this thing in my hand. I'm sorry.
What Sony wants to, if they can't get the deal blocked, they want to get it significantly hampered by some sort of undertaking or consent decree. And if they can't do that, they want to delay it as much as possible. Now, another concession that Sony might hope to get is not allowing COD in Game Pass on day one, because they're going to claim it hurts the market too much. Right?
It's preposterous, and it'll never work.
But I'm saying this is what they're going to try.
Welcome,
to do.
Mr. Boomstick. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I see almost 80 people in here. We had 80 folks in here.
I saw 80 people, brother. Yep.
Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't done so, please hit that like button. If you want to subscribe, we really appreciate it as we continue our march on to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you, Mr. Boomstick, for joining us. What are your thoughts, good sir? I know that you have been really hot on this topic.
I got to tell you, I love Everborn playing the devil's advocate, where he's making good suggestions. He's saying good things. He's making a lot of sense. Sony's going to try this, that, and the third. Okay, well, listen, real quick, shameless plug, Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm sitting down with Fuzzy Belvedere, Web Dave, and the Mag, who's recovering from COVID, at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to break down exactly what Sony becoming number one in the UK, in the same region that the CMA runs their wares, so to speak, and how they have outpaced even the Switch. So again, considering that they have done that without Call of Duty this year because it hasn't released, and Vanguard is a flop because no one's basically playing it, there's your argument to say that it's a load of horse crap. I think that
and not to mention the numbers that have come out as far as console sold.
56% increase from July to August. Now I'm gonna reserve what I'm gonna say.
4-1 in terms of market share.
4-1. That is absolutely correct. 4-1.
So imagine that, right? And this is, maybe we're throwing a lot of numbers and a lot of things at people, but just imagine that idea. The reason why some folks get angry about all of this: 4-1 to the competitor. But then the CMA comes out and wants to continue.
That's 4-1 just to Sony. Then you also have Nintendo, right? I know Sony just passed Nintendo, but then you have Nintendo in the market. So it's really it's laughable that they say.
But that's the point. So it's not about, again, we're not here to balls and strikes. Oh, how could you, Sony? They're here literally protecting their interests, protecting their business through any means necessary. This is not about morality. This is not about what we should and what we shouldn't get away with. We'll do whatever we need to keep our business afloat. That is Sony's point. And they should do that. Absolutely, in my humble
including
opinion,
crying. Crying is one of the
whatever they can do.
Yes, crying is one of them.
How many soccer stars do you see grab the leg and pretend they're hurt? Right?
So you're saying Sony pulled a soccer move. I love it.
That's what's happening.
You know what I want to see?
But that's not the point. It's not their fault that they pull a fake move if they get the call. If you don't get the call and you get laughed at, hey, you got laughed at. But if you get the call, it worked. And that's what Sony's doing right now.
You know what I want? At the round table, after the deal is approved, I want Phil to come out to the round table wearing a Stop Snitching t-shirt.
Stop.
I love it. Stop snitching.
And stop. Welcome. We have Cammy 28 in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. A new person joining our fair show, trying to check it out. We appreciate you being here. Consider hitting the like button. If you like it, consider subscribing. We thank you so much for being here. Now back to you, Mr. Boomstick XL.
Here's the thing. Listen, I understand. Yes, sir.
Boom, really quick, because I think this is going to inform what you are going to say. In the private chat, Kay, I highlighted two similar tweets for a similar investigation for the CMA, and I want you to look at the initial language versus the ultimate decision in the end.
Okay, so the first tweet and then the second one.
Yes, but Boom, you go first. I just want Kay to get that set up so we can go right into it after Boom goes.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
So here's the thing. This is a deal that has a lot of moving parts. We're all aware of that, right? It's not a surprise what I'm saying. We've all talked about it. It is what it is. But here's the thing. What Sony has done is, again, this is just my opinion. This is not a fanboy opinion. This is not me, being an Xbox. This is simply just looking at what we have in front of us. Every time Sony does something regarding this deal, I feel that they expose themselves even further, right? Yesterday, I had posted something that I found someone had put all of the Call of Duties in the last, 7 or 8 years of all the exclusive content that has gone the way of PlayStation. And the most egregious one is the Zombies one. Zombies has always been a part of Call of Duty, and until it wasn't, right? So Zombies is currently still not available for Xbox. We're almost a year reserved. Is it going to come in a year? I don't know. But when it gets there, is anyone going to care? To me, I understand it's business. But if you're looking to call something, an acquisition that is going to somehow stifle competition, all you have to do is look at what Sony's done in their past 10 deals. They have gone out of their way to keep the boot on Microsoft at third place. Competition, or in business, is expected that if you are going to compete, you need to do things better than your competitor. Well, Microsoft has done that, and they continue to do that. And even with the Bethesda deal, they're still in third place. Even with the Activision deal, they're still being third place. Now, are they going to be in third place long? Probably not, because there is going to be a part, and this is what's even more crazy. Microsoft has conceded this generation that it's going to be, PlayStation is going to be the box of Call of Duty, because they are allowing them to have 25, 26, and 27 still on their console. Now, they're not going to have marketing rights And why would they? Because, well, Microsoft paid $70 billion. See, this is, I think, what really.
And boom, to your point on that point, I think that's where this part of that conversation came from. The quality of Call of Duty. They don't want to be the PR
They wanted to
marketing
continue
arm.
the marketing deal.
Well,
Yeah, well,
they
good
don't
luck
want
on
to
that.
be. They don't want to be the marketing arm for PlayStation for Game Pass
Right.
those last 3 years. Because yeah, it'll be on Game Pass. It'll be on PlayStation. Of course it will. But won't it have a big old Xbox logo in front of it?
It absolutely will.
I don't think PlayStation would advertise it with an Xbox logo.
No, they wouldn't. But
when the game boots up, are you kidding me?
I don't think so.
Oh, I don't know about that, dude. I don't
ridiculous.
know about that. It's
Okay,
say
but wait a minute. Hold on a minute. You played Deathloop. Did that happen with Deathloop?
But see, there's a difference because Deathloop was mid-development before the deal closed.
Yeah, but it doesn't take anything to add a splash screen. They're not going to do it.
Sure. But so
and
you're
also
telling me
didn't see it with Ghostwire Tokyo.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I disagree with that personally.
Yep,
but
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Listen,
I think that's the reason why they have a problem with the quality, the quote unquote quality of the experience. They won't get everything first, and a lot of the competitors.
I agree with that. I'm just saying they're not going to put an Xbox logo, right? It's going to say Activision because technically that's a subdivision of Xbox, and it's not.
True.
Minecraft does it because
whether it be
Game
the
Studio.
logo or not, at the end of the day, you're marking a competitor's product, and that is not appropriate. At least that's not something you want to do as a business, right? Which obviously, if you do get marketing rights, well, if you get access rights but not marketing rights, you will somehow, some way be stuck into doing that, right? Unless you get the full exclusive marketing rights that you've always had, which doubtful that that's what they're getting now. Am I mistaken?
But this is what I'm saying. I think that what they are offering is you keep it on your platform, but you don't get these other benefits of
absolutely.
The marketing
why would they?
Exactly. I just don't think the logo is part of that. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I agree with that. That's just a visual representation of
I would do it. I would force them to put a logo.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even put an Xbox.
That's just a physical representation of shadiness.
Yeah,
at the beginning of to everyone's point, Live Supremacy in the chat says MLB The Show has the PlayStation logo.
Yeah, of course, yes.
I'm just saying that.
Yeah. And the idea of it doesn't take much to add a splash screen. Once the game has been qualified and ready for launch on your console, even if it's a dot that's in the wrong place, you can't add or remove it. It's not one of those. Oh, let me just take it out.
This won't matter until the next COD anyway,
Look,
which will give them time to do a splash screen.
Here's the thing. I said this. We're getting into the weeds here, and I kind of want to reel this back in because there are 2 points I really want to make. First and
by
foremost,
the way, thank you, Pixel. Appreciate you, sir.
No. First and foremost,
Microsoft
is giving something to Sony that has an infinite price tag. You cannot put a price on what they're offering them, and that is time, ladies and gentlemen. Time in business is priceless. And what Microsoft is doing is giving them from 2022, which is currently right now, to the end of 2027 to get their house in order. Meaning that they go and
you're giving you SOCOM dev time right there. That's what they're giving you.
Giving you your investment development time, your AAA PlayStation banger, as the kids like to say, SOCOM, to put on the market, and you make it a free to play or you make it a pay to win, whatever you want to do with it, and you have that out there to be your launch title for the new PlayStation 6 in 2028. Because if you look at what Microsoft is doing, the reason why they're saying 2027 is because in 2028 there is going to be a new Xbox. At that point, these consoles will have had 7 years. That is the norm. And if Microsoft is looking that far into the future, and I would imagine they're looking even further, they're going to be able to have ready Call of Duty exclusively on the new Xbox. And what's going to happen is exactly what we've seen Sony do for the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2, all the way through the PlayStation 5, have games that are only available on their platform at launch to move the needle in their direction. Now, is it going to take to 2028 for Microsoft to take first place? No, it is certainly not. It's going to probably take 2 seasons. And I mean 2 seasons, I'd probably say about 2 holiday seasons once they have Activision Blizzard King. And what's going to happen is there's going to be, folks, I've already foresaw it. I've seen it. I've heard it. I'm telling you, this is going to happen. Your child is going to be playing Call of Duty because you're an Xbox or a Sony player. And they're going to be getting, and let's say, for instance, you're an Xbox player and you say, hey, listen, Timmy, the Call of Duty, we just downloaded it. Oh, that's awesome. Little Timmy's going to go to school and he's going to tell his friend, little Johnny, say, hey, you're not going to believe this. I just downloaded the new Call of Duty for free. And they're going to say, what are you talking about for free? And yeah, this Xbox Game Pass. And they're going to go home to their pops and they're going to say, hey, pops, the new Call of Duty's out. They're going to look at Sony and they're going to say $76.43. Or what does Game Pass? $5 a month. Oh, we can get your cousins, we can get your mama, we can get your auntie all the way across the world, and across the country. She's in Cali, we're in New York. You know what? Everyone can play together. And for $5 a month, there's going to be advertising that says for as low as $5 a month, get the new Call of Duty. And when that happens, that is when you're going to see the people move over. Because how quickly, folks, did people move over from the 360 to the PlayStation 4 because of marketing and messaging and basically Microsoft stepping on it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in one fell swoop, Microsoft went from, Sony caught up. But if you ask anybody that's being truthful, the 360 PS3 generation was led by Microsoft. That was an Xbox winning generation, and they fumbled the ball at the goal line.
Talk about attach rates. If you talk about new IPs launched, if you talk about overall excitement, if you talk about media coverage, if you talk about the fact that once the one was launched, they stopped making the 360 and they continued making the PS3 for a few more years. After that is when they overtook it. But like, you won because I stopped running, right?
Basically, yeah.
So
they moved on to the next console immediately while PlayStation kept padding the last gen numbers a while, and that overtook it. Absolutely.
Also, all those sales came from Japan. When you look at it,
mostly
region for region.
If you look at it, yeah, absolutely.
And if you look in the States, it wasn't even close between the PlayStation and the
and all of this is why you see them making the decisions that they're making today, right? That's why Sony, we'll increase the price everywhere else, but we won't do it in America. We'll just offer you guys a bundle that basically increases the price, but we won't say we did because this place is really hard fought, right? And they know that if
we
they're
weren't
not
supposed to
careful,
tell them that. They weren't supposed to
we were supposed to know that, right?
Yeah.
They know that this place is hard fought, and if they're not careful, they'll lose it, or they are losing it, and they need to keep fighting to keep it. So having that idea of, we raised the price in the US is not a good look. We'll just make sure that every time you see one, it happens to be the price we want it to be without telling you we've raised the price. You know what I'm saying? That's seemingly what's happening here. But I guess to bring this back around to this whole back and forth between Jim and Phil and the deal and
it's far from
CMA,
over too.
Right?
I have a feeling there's going to be a rebuttal.
So one thing to what you said, Boom, that I thought was very interesting, that we all seem to be coming at this from different mental places, right? Jim Boom seems to be coming at it from the place of how the heck can PlayStation, even with a straight face, make these claims when clearly there's so much evidence to the contrary, right? And we've all been able to see this stuff happening, right? The thing that I come to it that I wish we would all have a bit more focus on is, I feel like and I've said this before, I feel like what Sony's doing is what they're supposed to be doing. Would you be surprised if they were all mea culpa and all like, wouldn't you be like,
they would not
we're
be doing their fiduciary duty to their shareholders if
they did not try to do this through hook or crook? That's right. They're doing this to make sure they get the best, so that when the inevitable happens, they go, look, we did the best we could. We tried.
It's not consent. Show friends. It's show business.
That's right.
And it's not about life is not fair, right?
That's right. Here's my point.
But I do want you to go to the tweets that I showed you, because I will, and I'm bringing them up. I say all this to say, the problem that I have with this is
it's not about necessarily what Jim says, what Phil says. My issue is the regulatory bodies that are supposed to be, if this is a soccer analogy, they are the referees on the pitch, right? It seems to me that they are kind of fudging the numbers here a little bit. They are calling balls and strikes based on what they like, rather than based on what the situation on the ground is. Now, let me be clear here, right? We haven't seen their final result. So I'm not saying that, oh, there's corruption going on, or that they're calling it for one versus another. That's not what I'm saying, right? And to Everborn's point, and I'll bring up the two chats he brought up right now, because that does paint a picture that explains basically how the CMA tends to act when they're involved in some of these things, right? They come out with the fiery language in the beginning. So this is the first tweet you sent me, Everborn. So this is in favor of when they were talking about Norton. The antivirus tools, right? So even though ultimately, right, when it's all said and done,
tweet to this as well, like a second.
And I'm coming up next with that, right?
Yeah. No, not. I know you're coming up with that one. I'm saying this one. There might be a tweet below it. I just want you to read the language.
There's a tweet below this one as well.
Yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me post that up as well. Right. So even though ultimately, so they found that the Norton LifeLock plan purchase of Avast could reduce competition. And remember, if you're not aware, Avast and Norton are two antivirus software companies. You put it on your computer, protects you from viruses. Avast is a competitor to Norton. Norton was trying to buy Avast. They said it could lead to worse deals for consumers, right? Companies offer cybersecurity, make people feel safe, and they rely on it to be for safety online, blah, 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 blah. And then you scroll through here. I don't think there's any more.
Is there a date? Is there a date on it?
The date on it was March 16th, 2022. All right. And I don't see a 2 of 2 from there.
I think it's the other one that has the second one.
Okay. So let's go into this one here. All right. So here's 1 of 2 and this one. Here we go. After an in-depth review, right, we've provisionally concluded that the merger of Norton and Avast will not negatively affect consumers, right? And then where's the 2 of 2? Here's the 2 of 2 right here. We have provisionally cleared the merger, and we will consider any responses to find before the reach of a final decision. You can submit it right here. So they go through this stuff pretty frequently, right? They go through this stuff. Hey, we think.
And read the quote. There's a quote there.
Where's the quote?
Right there in orange. The gift.
Oh, you mean this one?
Yeah.
As such, after gathering the information from the companies involved in other under industry players, they're currently satisfied that the deal. Oh, of course, it skips. It's a GIF. So basically, but long story short, they review all the information from all the various stakeholders,
and that's the process. So the point is, the fiery language means nothing.
No, but yes, it does. No. I disagree with you on that. I disagree. Why? Because
I'm
even
a results
in this,
man,
and you can be a results man. But just because you're a results man does not mean that's all that exists. That's all that you care about. Sure. Right. And that's fine. But the results are the results. And you and I are in complete agreement. The results will be what they will be. And me personally, based on all this information we have and all the historical information we have, I still am pretty confident that when it's all said and done, whatever the result may be, will be a result that we can be confident about, that we can feel safe, that it's not untoward or anything like that, or somebody's being paid off or something. I'm not saying any of that. That has nothing to do with any of this this conversation. I completely agree that when it's all said and done, based on how the CMA functions, it will the righteous decision will come to the top. That's it, right? But to me, the fact that they used one competitor's fiery language as their own is eyebrow raising. That's all it is.
How do
and
we
it's
know
worth
they didn't do this in the CMA investigation? In the Norton investigation, you can click on the link
look at the Norton investigation. Even in your example, example here, right? Because if you dig through it, this is not fiery language. This is not.
But you have to click on the link and see what they said.
No. Okay. And yes, I'm sure when you click on the link and you read the full scope of the question and the answer, you will see the full scope of it. But comparing that to the ABK deal, even with that, in the ABK deal, there was no need to click on the link. They used emoji-ridden fiery language in a tweet, which was very eyebrow-raising. That's all I'm saying. It is, and I'm not the only one saying it.
It was also just
it is eyebrow raising. I'm sorry.
It's also just a tweet. What matters is
a tweet is not just a tweet when it's being used for official communication, right? Even tweets, which are quote unquote just tweets, are now being saved to enter into like the presidential archives as part of something. So a tweet is not just a tweet when it starts to be used as official communication mediums. All I'm saying, and both things can be right, Everborn, right? At the end of the day, cooler heads can and will prevail. I agree with you on that. But at the same time, using this kind of fiery language is eyebrow raising when you are supposed to be the one that calls the balls and strikes straight down the middle, and no one's supposed to have any kind of influence anywhere there. When you speak the way you speak, it's eyebrow raising when you're supposed to be that entity that has no particular dog in the fight. That's all I'm saying. And please, folks, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Tell me I'm wrong, right? But it looks like, as Anthony Chipmunk is saying right now, it looks like CMA heart Sony. That's what it looks like, and that's eyebrow raising. It shouldn't have to look that way. It shouldn't even look that way, because that goes against your regulatory body and your charter and people trusting what you say.
I don't know if I agree, right? Like, so just reading some of the LifeLock thing, it says Norton LifeLock's proposed purchase of Avast could lead to a reduction in competition in the UK and ultimately a worse deal for customers when looking for cybersecurity software, unless the companies can offer a clear-cut solution to address our concerns. We intend to carry out an in-depth phase 2. Norton LifeLock and Avast now have 5 working days to submit proposals to address the CMA's competition concerns.
So what you're saying is, let me understand what you're saying. What you're saying is,
I'm saying no one said at this time that the CMA was in the pocket of big security.
Let me understand. Hold on. What you're saying is, if you compare the Norton case and how the CMA's language was, you're saying it's exactly the same to how the CMA.
Show me the fiery language where you're seeing there's a difference in what they're saying.
Dude, there's a lot of fiery language. As a matter of fact, look at Twitter. I mean, again, I have to agree with KSante.
I mean, I'm sorry, brother, man, but
I think
the panel, the chat, no one's with you on this.
Yes, because we are closely invested and following.
No, but if you just read this if you just read one tweet after another, it reads exactly like a manifesto being written by a fanboy of said company.
Okay, can we read the tweets?
I'm going to pull them up right now. I'm going to read you all 4 of them.
Find me the tweets, and I'll put it on the screen.
I'll find it right now.
And while we do that, I will answer the question
I'm just saying this is much to do about nothing, and the deal is going to go through. That's what I'm saying.
I totally get all of that, but here I have them right in front of me.
But it should look, Everborn. My only problem with your narrative is, because the result will be what the result will be, nothing else in the middle should matter. I disagree with you on that one.
Look, this is how it starts off.
The result will be what it'll be. I agree with you on that.
Yes,
but because the way they're speaking is worth a conversation. So it definitely is. And you yourself,
let me frame this.
Were fired up when you first heard what they had to say.
Well, go ahead. Let me frame this for everyone, just to know where we start. The starting tweet is listed. They have a blue check mark, Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, right? They have a picture of someone playing a video game. In the corner, CMA.
If you wouldn't mind, put it in the DM, and I'll post it on the screen.
Okay, I'm literally going to say, all you have to do. I just sent it to you. You gotta check your DM right now.
In our DM or in Twitter?
No. Your DM, your personal DM on Twitter.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so I'm gonna read it verbatim, folks. This is how this whole thread started. Simply says, we've been investigating Microsoft's anticipated $69 billion purchase of Activision Blizzard King and have discovered that the deal could substantially lessen competition and this is where they start using emojis, which is boggling to me, but okay, I guess a 19-year-old wrote this. Gaming consoles, which I'm assuming they mean sales, multi-game subscription services, and cloud gaming services. So already the first one is a big FU because Sony just posted a 56% increase 1 month from the other. So here's the second tweet. And this is an uneducated person or IE fanboy. Microsoft is one of the biggest players in the gaming industry. Oh, really? I suppose a 2-to-1 from last gen
that's
and
fine.
this gen.
That's a fine statement to make.
Okay.
One of the biggest players in the gaming industry. They're one of three. Makes
One
sense.
of three.
That's fine.
Together with Sony and Nintendo UK, they've led gaming console markets for the past 20 years with limited competition from new rivals.
Sure.
And here it continues. Activision Blizzard develops and publishes some of the world's best-selling and most recognizable gaming franchises, including Call of Duty and Warcraft. Again, using emojis.
Sure.
Which the next one is even more hilarious because they have a block emoji to start off the conversation where they're saying we're concerned that if the deal goes ahead, it could harm rivals, including recent and future entrants into the gaming industry by refusing or hindering access to Activision Blizzard games,
which is stupid. Now hold on. Just stop that for a moment here.
Yeah.
Like assuming, and Everborn has a point to make when he says, it may not be everyone that you think you know of that they communicated with where they made this statement, right? So it may not just be Sony, right? I imagine Amazon have some conversations there. I imagine Google has some conversations there. And anyone that has any eyes on getting into the gaming, even Tencent and them, I'm sure they all had a part to play here. This statement here, we're concerned that if the deal goes ahead, it could harm rivals, including recent and future entrances into the gaming industry by refusing or hindering access to Activision Blizzard games. Do they mean hardware entrances?
Why is it not fair for them to just ask the question? I don't understand.
No. Okay, I'm trying to understand what the question is. Like what are they framing here? I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm asking
they want to know what the effects will be if you make the Activision stuff exclusive. They can ask that question, and it will be shot down in the face too.
No, I get that, but you're not getting the question I'm asking. You're not getting the question I'm asking here. They're saying it could harm rivals from entering the gaming industry if you refuse Activision Blizzard games. Do they mean a new platform entering the market? Is that what they're saying?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So with that in mind,
that's not a Sony complaint.
Exactly. So are they saying that in this instance, like in this example, maybe a Stadia failed because they didn't get an Activision Blizzard game? Is that what they're saying? That could be the reason for it?
Or Amazon wants to get in, or Tencent wants to finally make a console, and they wouldn't be able to have this on their platform.
Okay, so because Stadia and Luna don't have Activision Blizzard games on them, that's why this is a problem. And
well, here's something very interesting, Kay. I have Article 29 that has been making the rounds that does raise more questions than it does answers. And this is what Article 29 of the CMA had to say in their official document statement to this deal, making it go in for a second look. PlayStation currently has a larger share of the console gaming market than Xbox, but the CMA considers that Call of Duty is sufficiently more important than losing access to it or losing access to on competitive terms could significantly impact Sony's revenues and user base. This impact is likely to be felt especially at the launch of a next generation of consoles where gamers make fresh decisions about which console to buy. The CMA believes...
So hold on, real quick, Boom. So what they're saying there is, right, if I'm not mistaken, and please keep me honest here, folks, what they're saying is not only is it important for that, for the game to be on the all consoles, it also needs to be there at the launch of the console so that when people are making purchasing decisions, they know that it's there so they can buy it there. So not only is it important to keep it on keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, it must be on PlayStation at the launch of the console, so you purchaser know that it's available there, so you can buy it there. And we think that's an actual viable concern that needs to be addressed.
Yeah,
I think that's
wait,
ridiculous.
here's the last part. The CMA believes that this merger could therefore significantly weaken Microsoft's closest rival to the detriment of overall competition in console gaming. That is very suspicious, I have to say.
Go ahead,
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. We're assuming that the CMA has made this decision. If they go and they reach out to the market and Sony starts crying like a little bitch, then they have to go and investigate those claims. They don't know any better until you get to the phase 2. They believe that because Sony said that. It's not that they are an arm of Sony, but you have to investigate these things, and that is what it's about. It's not like if Sony says, listen, next gen, and we all know this because I don't understand this. Everybody in the Xbox community says Sony's going to be in a world of trouble. We keep saying that. And then the CMA questions whether they're going to be in a world of trouble, just asking the question, and then we're like, "Fuck you, CMA."
No. See, I think you're framing that argument a little incorrect.
I would have to agree. I think you're simplifying the conversations that we're trying to have here, rather than it actually being a legitimate, like, I don't understand what's happening here.
Because what the people, because the back and forth that the people are having.
Let Boom finish. I want to hear what Boom was saying.
I'm sorry.
No, what I was going to say is that especially when you consider the wording. This isn't I only have Article 29. I don't have the whole thing in front of me. There is legitimately one of the articles actually says they're concerned for Sony's number one position in the market. It literally says that's what I was looking for. The documentation.
Yeah. It seriously
they
says
actually say those words. This is not me being hyperbolic. This is not me putting words in the CMA's mouth and trying to run with the narrative. This was logistically written in the legal documents from the CMA.
We're concerned with Sony's position as the number one in the market, and it made everybody go, why do you care that they're position number one in the market? Shouldn't it be that there is a market and that there is a 1, 2, and 3? Who cares who sits there? They will
ultimately come to that decision, is what I'm saying.
But again, I think
we use the terms "we are concerned," and "we are concerned" comes from them reaching out to the market and market participants and relaying those complaints, and then they say "we are concerned," and then when they actually get the information to see that it's full of crap, then they say, look, we're not concerned anymore because you explained yourself. So it's just them reaching out to a market. If this were any other industry, we would say, okay, they reached out to the market. People in the market had concerns. Those people in the market happen to be self-interested, as they should. And then we turn around and we investigate it.
So before we close this topic out, I will answer a question, one of the questions that I had highlighted from the community, and I'll bring that up in a second. But I think the thing that you and I are disagreeing on here, everyone, and I think our disagreement in general is you just care solely about the end results. You think, you're ignoring all you care about is the end results.
No.
The same thing we had, the same conversation we had about. Let me just say this. The same conversation we had about the initiative and all of that. You care about the end result, and if the end result is great, then no harm, no foul. And although I agree with you that the end result is good,
I'm saying that we got the Brazilian documents after it was all said and done, right?
Yeah, but the Brazilian government, the Brazilian regulatory bodies also didn't use the same language.
Yeah, but we're worried about language in a tweet, and I'm just saying that once this is all said and done and you see all the evidence presented, you're just going to say, okay, Sony was crying. Okay, Microsoft put the hammer down and shut down all of those ridiculous arguments, and now we've moved on. I'm just saying they have to reach out to market participants no matter what industry you're in, and they have to act on the side of those people and then decide whether they're wrong or not. That's just what it is.
And even still,
they haven't made a decision.
You're not wrong on that. But even still, if you look at the CMA's previous statements, right? If you look at what they previously say, they don't use the words that they used this time around. They don't go as far as they went this time around. All I'm saying is, and I think those of us on this side of the argument are pretty much on the same page. And I think ultimately we're all on the same page because we know that when it's all said and done, the end result will be the end result, and it won't be tainted, right? But I think the folks on my side of the house, what we're saying is, when you speak with the way that you spoke, specifically the way you spoke this time, it works to call into question your if your end results should be trusted. It seems like, oh, you're being influenced one way or another. That's what the fiery the language they use. That's the bug it puts in people's ear. And I'm not saying that ultimately will mean a bad result. I'm not saying that at all, right? I'm just saying, if you don't want folks to have that sentiment going in, waiting to hear what you'll ultimately have to say, then maybe you need to calibrate the way you make your statements. Because in other CMA statements, and your Norton example was even example as well, they may say what the concern is in the market, but they don't use such language. Like, maybe I'm not communicating with myself as effectively as I should.
But I think the language is as bad when you look at it.
Sure, but clearly, I'm not the only one that has seen this red flag, because a lot of folks are saying exactly the same thing.
Because we are in the fog of war.
So you're the only human seeing this entire thing that sees clearly, and everybody else is stuck in the fog of war. Is what you're saying?
I'm saying, including Hoaglaw, right? Including Hoaglaw, you will hear just as fiery words shutting down all of these arguments.
I just want to hear
when
that
you
last
look
one,
at the approval documents, they will shut down these arguments just as forcefully.
Including Hoaglaw,
and no one will tell me I was right, and everybody will say, "Oh yeah, it's great, they got shut down."
See how he's not answering that question.
Ultimately, we will end up where I say we're going to end up.
See,
but that's fine.
You see how he's not answering the question, though. Including Hoaglaw, also stuck in that fog of war, sir.
Okay, he's reading the documents as they come. I'm saying they're not as bad as you think.
Also, let us move on. But before we move on, before we end this show,
this will end
there was a question.
He also said it was always going to a phase 2.
Of course, and none of us are in disagreement.
So we're in the phase 2.
Of course, none of us are in disagreement of that. There's one question, and I put this up before. We didn't get a chance to answer it. Before we end this show, I want to answer this question. And this was asked by Double K24. Thank you so much for the question. I appreciate you watching. He asks, so, question, do y'all think this changes the relationship with Sony and Xbox and 100%. Or Phil and Jim moving forward?
100%.
Go ahead, Boom. Expound. Where do you think this? How do you think this changes the narrative between them?
I think that they're probably in the public space going to probably play nice. I don't think you're going to see them standing together on stage. Okay. I don't think you're going to hear them having a conversation in a meet and greet. I don't think they're going to have drinks. I think that what Jim is doing what someone who's head of a company trying to do to save face to their investors. I get all of that. Everborn is 1,000% right, but I think that what you're going to see come out of this is something that myself, you, Everborn, many people in this community, we want to see Microsoft's teeth. I want to see they're kind of forcing them canines to pull out the claws. Yeah,
right?
I you know what? It's time to go shink and have the Wolverine claws come out. That's
the Wolverine claws.
That's what I want, and I think that Jim Ryan, because I actually don't think Phil Spencer spoke out of turn. I think he was explaining, hey, listen, the deal ends in 2024. We said we were going to give you an extension to 2027. And I think that is something that's not usually done in business. That's a fair statement. The way Jim responded seemed like he shot from the hip and might have shot himself in the foot. That's just my take on it.
Interesting. Okay. Mr. Everborn Saga, sir, what do you think? So again, the question being, after all this airing of grievances, all the dirty laundry back and forth, blah, 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 as the show suggests, the title suggests, Jim versus Phil, do you think this changes their relationship moving forward? Do you, or I guess, let's frame it a different way. Do you think we see ramifications where, hey, they could have gone left, but because of the dirty laundry that's been aired, now you see they may take different positions with each other? Do you see that potentially happening?
In the interim, but this is all fog of war. But I do want to caution everyone, this war of words is going to get worse before this deal closes. I promise you,
Get your popcorn ready, because
if lawyers come out, boy, it's gonna be fun.
Right. And this is what I'm telling people about. All of these arguments that are made are going to get shut down so forcefully, and attacks are going to get crazy on people, and the companies are going to start calling each other out, and it is going to be fun. So I'm here for all of it, but this is
Double Barrel Gaming and Everborn Saga, and of course this incredible podcast will have you covered with everything. Each and every time someone says flings a load of poo,
fling some verbal poo.
No, I'm telling you, if you think Jim Ryan is done making these press statements to try to influence regulators, and if you think Microsoft is going to walk away from this deal and go quietly into the night, knowing they got to pay Activision $3 billion plus whatever they already invested into the legal for it's not going to happen. It's going to get disgusting, and God forbid it actually goes to like someone suing someone, whether it's Microsoft suing the government, the regulators, or regulators suing to block the deal. It's gonna get nasty, and I'm ready for it.
Absolutely. You know.
So, but that being said, after all that is said and done, depending on how far or how successful Sony is with the regulators putting stipulations on the deal, I think if they do anything, saying something like, "Oh, you can't put COD in Game Pass
or something," yeah,
if you want to do the deal, if they really hinder the deal like that, that is where you're going to see the gloves come off, and they're going to be like, "Oh yeah."
So you know
ways
what?
we can hurt you for this.
Good statement. Let me. That brings up one last question, and I think that's super interesting because some people are heading in this direction as if it's almost a foregone conclusion. And I will, and this will be the last point we'll make. And you guys, and you know what? I'll ask the chat to communicate as well. Please, give me your thoughts. Do you think, and as we hit almost 90 people in here, wow, this is awesome. 91, that's amazing, man. Thank you guys.
J1 Money is 91. He just came in. You missed me damage controlling for the CMA.
Yeah, you missed the captain. It was amazing. It's absolutely. Last question. Do we think a consent decree is all but assured?
No, absolutely not, because it depends on what that decree is. If the decree is what we just learned of it being 3 more years, then that's about all they're going to give them. They're not going to. See, this is the thing. People keep bringing Brad Smith's interview into the conversation as if he told on himself. He never said the words infinity or infinite.
He literally
or
said
for the
on
rest
a multi-year basis.
Multi-year basis, yes. And actually, so did Phil. Said several years, which is 3.
And because people can't read 2, or don't know the definition of things, they're calling everyone a liar. I had a back and forth yesterday saying, "What about lies of omission?" And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that cool meme, "Lies of P," but with Phil Spencer's head on it. Lies of Phil.
Jesus Christ,
so good,
man.
So hilarious. You gotta love it. It's hilarious. Anyway,
it's
so
not
how about you?
Microsoft's fault. You're stupid. That's the problem. I said it.
Yeah. So Everborn, final thought. Do you think a consent decree of any kind is a foregone conclusion?
It is, but I don't think it's going to be in the places where they're relevant to our discussions. Meaning, I think it's going to be some back end things like, hey, maybe you have this distribution warehouse in Sri Lanka, you can't keep that there, or some such nonsense like that, or you can't fire anybody for this amount of years, or you can't raise prices for that amount of years. Sure, I don't think it's going to be in the way. I think the 3 years that they're offering the regulators will look at that and say, what do you want? You have 5 years with this thing. Like, you have 5 years to turn around and compete. So I don't think there's anybody that's going to say they have to do that in perpetuity. And Microsoft, even if they plan on keeping it there, it's stupid to have, like, it ties your hands around your back. Because remember, Microsoft has to pay for the development cost to put these things on on whatever platforms they do. So you're telling me I'm forced to make an investment in your company for the end of all time? No one's going to say that.
Oh my God! Right? And of course, we're gonna end this conversation with the statement that just rounds it all up, that just makes it perfectly crystallizes this whole conversation for me. J Mo Money says, Yeah, it all depends on the macroeconomics, let's be honest.
That is conjecture, sir.
Ah, fantastic. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. We had like 90 some odd people in here. It's been an awesome show. Again, for those who didn't catch us at the top, we threw a few more topics into the mix than we normally do, because me and Everborn, we like to chop it up on all these various conversations during the week, and we don't get a chance to really talk about that on the show. And we wanted to maybe have more shows, but there's just not enough time in the day, you know what I mean? So instead, what I think we'll do is we'll start breaking these out, So again, expect to see some more games talk from us. Expect to see, what games we've been playing, the news stories that we always talk about. You might see some tech drops from us from time to time, and we'll talk about some on the real stuff, some movies and TV and this and that. But understand that anytime we talk movies and TV, we'll always leave the very last end. I'm calling that spoilering time. We're leaving that at the very last end. And when you see the spoiler in time bumper, that means if you haven't watched the show, then you may want to bow out, because that's when we'll be spoiling things. But we're moving forward. We're moving forward. But any feedback you want to give us, any kind of criticism, good, bad, indifferent, please, where that comment section is. I read them all. I reply to them all. I really appreciate you folks taking your time out, and making us part of your Saturday ritual. We really appreciate it. So, Mr. Boomstick XL, out of nowhere, the man's like, let me in, and here you are. Thank you so much for lending your thoughts to the show. Always appreciate you just dropping in.
My pleasure.
You're always welcome, as you know. Please tell the fine people, if they don't know where to find you, what the heck are you doing here, by the way? Come on now.
Well, listen, you can find me on Twitter.
Let them know where to find you. Yes,
where I just surpassed, which is crazy to me, 10,000 followers, which is bonkers.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
And we are almost at 11.2 in regards to subs on YouTube. If you haven't subbed the channel, please consider it. It's Double Barrel Gaming. I'm Mr. Boomstick XL at Mr. Boomstick XL on Twitter. I have moved the show to almost this is going to be this week was a little different, but I've moved the channel to a 5-day-a-week streaming schedule. I'm streaming Mondays through Fridays at the request of many who are enjoying the special edition Xbox Factor podcast on Mondays that I've been doing. It's only about an hour, sometimes a little bit longer, about 90 minutes. And because there's so much news, you literally don't have enough time to cover it. So when the news dries up a bit towards the holiday season, maybe we go back to 4 days. But right now we're doing 5, and we are doing a special edition Xbox Factor podcast this Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to discuss this topic, and more specifically, how it was just reported by good folks like Benji Sales of Twitter that Sony is moved to the #1 spot in the UK, the same place that the CMA is defending Sony, and it's preposterous at best.
Also, same place where they raise prices and are rolling out new models that are cheaper to make.
Yes, the 1200 model is in fact way cheaper, and they that's right, a $50, 50 pound increase.
Slanderous when we start, slander when we end, man.
No, but he's right. He's right.
It's true, though. It's true. Absolutely.
It is true.
Absolutely.
So yes, you can find me there, and everyone check out. Please sub. Let's get these guys to 1K. They do a great job each and every week, and they well deserve your sub, and help them by putting this out on the socials. Go to their channel, go to share, drop this onto your favorite social media platform, and let people know about it. Because the one thing about YouTube is that it has a vast plethora of content creators, and these are two of some of the finest. So go and do that.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you so much. And speaking of fine content creators, we never want to leave you wanting. So I'm looking across the pond, and I see that the Living Split Screen crew is still live. So when you're done here, please head over to the Living Split Screen. Let them know we sent you. I'll be watching the rest of the show as soon as we're done here. But TKO Asante, Xbox, PlayStation, all the places you want to find me. You know where I am at. You subscribe, you follow me, I follow you back. Subscribe to the channel. Anytime you guys want to reach out and have a conversation, we will definitely be there, ready to have that conversation with you. I've been getting feedback from folks that say they want possibly for us to start a Discord channel. I'm like, I would love to do that, but there's just so much. There's not enough time in the day, if there's a way I can find a way of adding that into the mix, and maybe that's a better communication medium, I'll look into that. But we've been having a lot of conversation in the background, trying to make sure that we push this show in a different direction and possibly get more folks to see it, and use this as our outlet to speak on more topics. So the Gaming Circle podcast becomes more GCP, the Geek Circle podcast, all kinds of topics that get discussed here. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in live, and those who happen to watch after the fact. You guys help power this show, and those who watch and listen, I should say, on streaming services, we thank you so much. I've been actually reading a few here and there. There are people that left reviews. Thank you so much. I will start reading reviews as more and more start coming out. If you happen to be on the various audio services and you want to leave us a review, please do so. I appreciate it. Any criticism, anything you want to discuss with me, of course, we'll take all that in, and we'll make sure we make this show better for everybody. So again, Mr. Everborn Saga, Mr. Boomstick XL, unless you guys have anything else you wish to discuss, I think we're going to call it. Are we done?
I say we call it. Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
So screen share for like 5 seconds.
You have a screen share. Okay. Post something up.
This is a
what you got? I don't see anything. Here we go. Okay.
Stuff.
Oh yes.
So we're working on some of the
Mr. Everborn developer as we break out.
We slightly updated the idle animation.
Yeah, I need to play a new build, by the way. I haven't played the latest.
Yeah, we don't have one yet because I'm waiting for these animations to come in.
Okay, cool.
This is the winning pose. So we put together the keyframes for these. This is when you enter.
So for those who don't understand what you're looking at, you play the game, you see them do the animations. This is how those eventually become the animations. Everything is drawn out, keyframed out, and his artists are bringing it to them. And then, of course, the job of putting it in the code and presenting it and making it run smoothly becomes Everborn's. And that's the thing that you keep tweaking for months, weeks, years on end until it feels smooth and great. Well, which hopefully we'll see more of that, right? We'll see more of that.
This is the first level, by the way.
Yes, sir. There you go. This is pretty awesome, bro. Yes.
So you see, because you have to kind of fade these out, but
as they come in. Yep.
Yeah.
See, so this is some of the cool stuff, and like a weird pro tip on that. If you're drawing something and the camera angle will slide across it, you have to draw it with the camera and without the camera, so you can slip it in as the camera moves. Very cool, weird stuff, very interesting stuff. There you go. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, as we step out, we will say have a good weekend. We hope we see you on them Twitter streets, and of course, you will see us again next week. We hope you guys have had a great time here, and of course, we'll see you all next week. Have a good weekend. Talk to you soon. Goodbye, y'all.